Chapter 750. It's Shenhu. The Beast King muttered. Back in the planar battlefield, a will projection of Shenhu had already made them feel threatened. Now that Shenhu had personally arrived, her aura was much stronger than a will projection. Regarding Xuanho's matters, it would take more than 3 days and 3 nights to finish. They only knew that she was the youngest life and death king in 1,000 years, several times younger than the Beast King. However, in terms of strength, the Beast King couldn't even catch up. Many people couldn't imagine how Shenhu, who had only become a life and death king for a few years, already possessed the strength of a peak king, comparable to the likes of Dragon King, Evil King, and Prison King. Monstrous aptitude, peak king strength, and unfathomable methods made Xuanho's prestige extremely formidable, enough to make all kings apprehensive. One could well imagine the pressure the three were under. Since Shenhu has come, the others will definitely come as well. Black Mountain Queen was used to being arrogant, but in front of a woman like Shenhu, she had to lower her head. The source of the spatial ripple was very far away, probably still at the entrance of the Forbidden Region. Ordinary life and death kings would need about the time to brew a cup of tea, while peak kings would need 1/3 of that time. After all, the space in the Forbidden Region was extremely stable, and the speed of traversing through space was much slower than the outside world. This was especially true in the graveyard, where arrays operated. Even life and death kings had to enter through the entrance. If they tried to force their way in, they would activate all the arrays, even those of 4 Extreme Emperor's graveyard. After putting away the 2 hunters, Black Mountain Queen didn't make things difficult for the Beast King and Night Ghost King. Sitting on the throne, she flew forward, the solid walls of the passage acting as if they didn't exist. In front of the entrance of 4 Extreme Emperor's graveyard, Yi Chen's face revealed a shocked expression. What he had obtained was neither a profound martial skill nor a secret art, but the foundation of space profound, which was even more precious than profound martial skills and secret arts. Emperor 4 Extreme's attainment in the profound of space is definitely at the great perfection level. It has already reached the point where there is no room for improvement. Just one more step and it would be the heavenly Tao laws. The profound of space that he concluded will make it easier for me to comprehend it. In order to form the foundation of a certain profundity, one had to reach perfection in that profundity. Otherwise, there would be mistakes and misunderstandings in the foundation of the profundity. Taking a step back, if one's profundity had not reached perfection, it would be impossible to form the foundation of a profundity, because even he himself did not fully understand it. Emperor 4 Extremes is indeed a peerless genius. Space Profound is one of the most powerful profounds. Once completed, the Space Profound martial skill created will be extremely powerful. At the very least, it will be a top-rank one. With this Space Profound as the foundation, my Space Profound will be able to reach the minor realm in a short period of time. Right now, Yi Chen's Space Profound realm had stopped at 28%, not far from minor completion. However, there were 3 most difficult stages in the Profound realm: minor completion, major completion, and complete completion. According to Yi Chen's original estimation, it would take him at least half a year to reach minor completion. I wonder what the other 3 have obtained. Yi Chen turned his head to look at Dantai Mingyu and the other 2. The 3's expressions were strange. Jiang Tian seemed to have obtained something good, tightly clenching his fists as a sharp light flickered in his eyes. Xia Hozuan was in high spirits, emitting an ambitious aura. As for Dantai Mingyu, she turned her head to look at Yi Chen and faintly smiled. The 3 of them have obtained quite a lot. Right, everyone has a key. It's impossible for me to be the only one who obtained the greatest benefit. According to the ranking of keys, Dantai Mingyu's harvest is also better than mine. However, this has nothing to do with me. Who cares what others have obtained? As long as my harvest is satisfactory, it's fine. The foundation of Space Profound was extremely precious. After reaching the life and death realm, regardless of whether one was willing or not, one would need to understand some Space Profound. After all, everyone lived in a space. Who killed my Jiyu family's half-step king? Bang! The space in the center of the 4 extremities square shattered like a mirror, and a terrifying aura of destruction leaked out from the shattered space, causing the airflow in the entire square to become abnormally violent. At the same time, a yellow-robed elder walked out, his eyes filled with killing intent. Destruction King. The Gu family's Destruction King is here. Everyone was shocked. The Gu family had two life and death kings, East King and Destruction King. The yellow-robed old man was precisely the Destruction King. The Destruction King had not come for Iron Hand King's revenge. Of course, if the opponent's background was too weak, then it would be a different story. He had come for the bronze armor, which was a pseudo-extreme grade artifact that couldn't be bought even with spirit stones. How could the Gu family let it fall into the hands of others? For ordinary life and death kings, a pseudo-extreme grade artifact was equivalent to an extreme grade artifact. Only an ancient family like the Gu family, which had once produced the East King, could have an extra pseudo-extreme grade artifact for a half-step king to wear. However, this didn't mean that the Gu family didn't care about pseudo-extreme grade artifacts. On the contrary, they cared a lot about pseudo-extreme grade artifacts. When the Destruction King appeared, many other life and death kings arrived as well. Among them, there were also half-step kings who had died miserably in the Forbidden Area. However, they didn't act like the Destruction King, oppressing the enemy with their strength. The main reason was that the half-step kings they dispatched didn't have pseudo-extreme grade artifacts. Moreover, which half-step king in the Forbidden Area didn't have a backer? If they acted ruthlessly, it would be the same as declaring war on the opponent's backer. The Destruction King is here. I wonder if East King is here as well. Perhaps he's here, but he's hiding in the dark, quietly observing the situation. Or perhaps he hasn't. All of the life and death kings who had arrived started to discuss secretly. The True Spirit Continent's king warriors were divided into 4 levels. The first level would be titled King Warriors, the second would be Top King Warriors, the third would be Top King Warriors, and the fourth would be Normal King Warriors. Although the Gu family was not one of the top 4 families, they were not that much weaker. Especially East King, who had already been a top king warrior since a long time ago. None of the top 4 families would dare to look down on the Gu family. Even the top warriors of the True Spirit Continent considered the Gu family as the 5th top family. Senior Destruction King, I know who killed the Iron Hand King. The plaza was quiet for a while before a voice was heard. Hey! The Destruction King looked toward the source of the voice. Meanwhile, most of the people also looked toward the source of the voice. Yi Chen frowned. He could tell that the speaker was Jiang Tian. Who are you? The Destruction King asked. Jiang Tian said proudly, my name is Jiang Tian. My teacher is the North Sea Air Emperor. The disciple of the North Sea Air Emperor. All of the life and death king's expressions toward Jiang Tian changed. Jiang Tian was nothing to them, but his teacher, the Air Emperor, was extremely famous. He was a peerless king warrior who could be compared to Shu King. However, he had always lived in the North Sea. Therefore, normal people on the True Spirit Continent did not know about the Air Emperor. So, you are the disciple of the Air Emperor. Do you know who killed my Gu family's half-step king warriors? The Destruction King's voice turned gentle. Jiang Tian looked at Yi Chen. When the Iron Hand King died, I was there. My teacher's right-hand man, the Windstorm King, also died in his hands. And, that person is him. Jiang Tian pointed his finger at Yi Chen. It is him. Everyone's gaze landed on Yi Chen again. Late Sea of Soul Realm? Some of the life and death kings couldn't help but frown. A young man with Late Sea of Soul Realm cultivation base had killed 2 half-step king warriors. This kind of achievement was indeed shocking. It is Yi Chen. Yi Chen killed the Iron Hand King and the Windstorm King. So horrifying. The life and death kings could not recognize Yi Chen, but the other half-step king warriors and top master level warriors did. They were all shocked. Yi Chen. Murong Qingcheng was a bit nervous as she reached out her hand to hold Yi Chen's hand. Yi Chen let out a light breath and said to Murong Qingcheng, don't worry, he will not do anything to me. Yi Chen, don't worry. He will only scare you a little. Qing Liu had also killed a couple of half-step king warriors, but she did not care at all. If there was competition, there would be death. Plus, it was just a Gu family, so what could they do? This guy is Yi Chen, right? Right next to Dantai Mingyu, a beautiful middle-aged lady appeared out of nowhere. Her chi was extremely powerful, seeming to be even more powerful than all the life and death kings present. Yes, great-grandma. Dantai Mingyu nodded. This middle-aged lady was none other than the life and death realm warrior of the Dantai family, the Moon Queen, who was also the current leader of the family. Before the mysterious queen appeared, the Moon Queen could be counted as the #1 human queen. Her power was unfathomable. Only with the Moon Queen could the Dantai family stand firmly as one of the top 4 families. Indeed, an outstanding young man. The Moon Queen admired Yi Chen a lot. She was very clear about Yi Chen's achievements. She was amazed that there was a genius like Yi Chen in this world, who could even beat the Bright Moon and the Dugu family's brat. So, you are Yi Chen? According to the rumors outside, you are so powerful. Seeing you today, I can see that you are indeed something. But, you killed my Jiyu family's half-step king warrior and took his bronze armor. Aren't you looking down on my Jiyu family too much? The Destruction King froze a bit. After knowing Yi Chen's identity, he had already given up on the idea of killing him. After all, he did not want to take revenge for the Iron Hand King in the first place. He only wanted to take back the bronze armor and make him suffer a bit. The Iron Hand King wanted to kill me, so I killed him. The bronze armor was my trophy. Yi Chen's answer was very simple. The Iron Hand King wanted to kill him, so of course, he would not let him. As for the bronze armor, it was his trophy. Of course, it was not that there was no room for negotiation. You have guts. But, your words do not matter at all. How about this? You hand over the bronze armor and come back with me to the Jiyu family to apologize. I can let you go. The bronze armor is my trophy. If your Jiyu family wants it back, you have to at least give me some compensation. As for apologizing to the Jiyu family, I can't do that. I don't think I did anything wrong. I'm afraid you will not be able to bargain. The Destruction King did not have the intention to negotiate with Yi Chen at all. His eyes turned sharp. Destruction King, what do you want? Qing Liu walked out. Leader of the mysterious martial school, this has nothing to do with your school. The Destruction King was very scared of the Xianhu behind Qing Liu, so he was still polite to her. What do you mean it has nothing to do with my school? Just when Qing Liu was about to say something, a wave of space vibration appeared in the sky above the plaza. A luxurious space door appeared. It's her. The Moon Queen lifted up her head, her eyes shining brightly, causing the space in front of her to twist. Chapter 751. From the spatial gate, a white-robed woman walked out. As she walked out, the berserk chi flow on the plaza immediately calmed down, as if a mouse seeing a cat, unable to move. The white-robed woman's eyes were like stars, and her fine black hair cascaded down like a waterfall. Although her expression was calm and emotionless, she gave off an aura that disdained the whole world. Numerous life and death kings paled in comparison before her. Xianhu Yang Qingxian had arrived. Yi Chen sucked in a deep breath. Every time he saw Xianhu, he had a different feeling. The first time he saw Xianhu was like an ordinary woman feeding the fish by the pond. She didn't give off any special aura. Seeing Xianhu this time, Yi Chen recalled the shock he felt when he saw Xuanho's portrait for the first time. The Xianhu in the portrait gave off the same feeling, a peerless beauty that looked down on the whole world. Destruction King, you want to bring Yi Chen to your Jiyu family to ask for forgiveness? Walking out of the spatial gate, Yi Chen looked at Destruction King. Destruction King's face twitched as he forced a smile. My Jiyu family's half-step king can't die in vain. Of course, my Jiyu family can't not give you and Dragon King face. I only want him to ask for forgiveness, and won't make things difficult for him. If not for Xianhu and Dragon King, Destruction King would have long since killed Yi Chen. Asking him to go back to Jiyu family to ask for forgiveness was already giving the two a lot of face. If he dies, it's because his skill is inferior. How about this? If you can block one finger of mine without getting injured, I won't get involved in Yi Chen's matter. How about it? Xianhu said indifferently. One finger? Destruction King hesitated. If it were any other life and death king, not to mention one finger, he would have no fear even if they fought for 300 rounds. However, Shenhu was too powerful. Even one finger was not something an ordinary life and death king could block. What, you don't dare? Then don't mention this matter again. Shenhu snorted. Fine, one finger it is. I don't believe that you can do anything to me with one finger. Destruction King also had his own pride. His cultivation base was 600 years, while Xuanho's cultivation base was at most 1,000 years. Most importantly, he was wearing an extreme-grade armor, and the gloves on his hands were also pseudo-extreme-grade artifacts. He believed that if he risked his life, he could block a finger attack from Shenhu. Buzz! The surface of the Destruction King's body lit up with a reddish-yellow light. The light was like silk, interweaving into a cocoon, firmly protecting the Destruction King inside. At the same time, the Destruction King lowered his body and clenched his right fist. On his wrist, rings of Zhen Yuan condensed into rings of light. These rings contained an extremely overbearing destruction profound, and each of them could flatten a small mountain range. At this moment, they were wrapped around the Destruction King's wrist. Come! The King of Destruction roared, his eyes blazing like torches. Looks like you're ready. Shenhu raised her right hand, and a transparent flame appeared on the tip of her right index finger. The moment the transparent flame appeared, the temperature of the plaza instantly dropped by 100 times. Layers of frost formed on the ground, and only the 4 Extreme Emperor statue was not covered in frost. Ice Profound is actually not weaker than me. The Ice Pavilion Master also arrived. With his head full of white hair, his face was full of astonishment. Xuanho's main Profound was not Ice Profound. In fact, it was rare to see Shenhu use Ice Profound in the past. Clearly, this Ice Profound was one of Xuanho's auxiliary Profounds. Take this. As Shenhu pointed her finger at the Destruction King, the transparent flame turned into a beam of light and shot out at a speed that was hard to perceive under Life and Death Realm. You're actually using Ice Profound to deal with me. The Destruction King was overjoyed. He fiercely punched out with his glove-covered right fist, and the Zhen Yuan rings on his wrist were added to his fist energy. Peng! An ice flower bloomed in the air. Destruction King's punch, which was powerful enough to flatten a mountain range, was completely frozen by the ice flower. Its kinetic energy was instantly reduced to 0, and after the ice flower froze the punch, it suddenly burst into a transparent halo. The Destruction King's right arm was instantly frozen by the halo. What? The Destruction King's face was full of fright. He straightened his left hand like a blade and slashed at his right shoulder. Catcher! His right shoulder and right arm were severed and fell to the ground. Not only did they not shatter, they even froze the plaza, forming a layer of ice that was several meters thick. How is this possible? Ice Profound has also reached greater completion. The Ice Pavilion Master sucked in a breath of cold air. His main Profound was Ice Profound, and he was currently at greater completion. However, Ice Profound was clearly Xuanho's auxiliary Profounds, and yet, it had also reached greater completion. It should be known that the higher one's Profound was, the harder it was to comprehend. It was normal for one to not make any progress for hundreds of years. Moreover, every tiny bit of progress would greatly increase one's battle strength. What a blow! Even her auxiliary Profounds have reached greater completion. How are others supposed to live? The Moon Empress smiled bitterly. The greater completion of Ice Profound did not move her. What moved her was the fact that her opponent's Ice Profound had reached greater completion, which meant that his main Profound might have already reached completion. Of course, there were different levels of profound meaning completion. The difference between a profound meaning that was easy to comprehend and a profound meaning that was hard to comprehend was huge. When two profound meaning completion warriors walked together and had the same cultivation base, one of them could be killed by the other in a second. This was the difference. But no matter what, being able to comprehend a profound to completion was already extremely shocking. Worthy of being Shenhu. Even a casual move has such power. Whoosh! Suddenly, a ball of light appeared beside the Destruction King. The ball of light quickly expanded to a few meters in size, and a figure walked out of it. East King. Xianhu looked at the figure walking out of the light sphere. This was a middle-aged man dressed in a scholar's robe with a quaint appearance. He had a pair of extremely long and narrow eyebrows and a pair of phoenix eyes. He waved his sleeves, and the frost on the ground was pushed away in all directions. The ice melted and melted, clearing up an empty space. It's East King. I didn't expect East King to also come. Right, since the graveyard of 4 Extreme Emperor has appeared, with East King's strength, how could he not interfere? In the eyes of many life and death kings, East King's weight was quite heavy. After all, there were only a few titled monarchs in True Spirit Continent and 4 Shallow Oceans, and the number of peak kings could be counted on 2 hands. East King could be considered a figure with considerable weight under peak kings. Are you all right? East King turned his head and looked at the one-armed Destruction King. I'm fine. Although Destruction King said so, he was inwardly alarmed. If he hadn't quickly cut off his right arm, that icy cold chi might have spread to his entire body. In that case, even if he didn't die, he would have suffered a near-death injury. Kai. Activating the undying body, the Destruction King's severed right arm quickly grew back. At the same time, the Destruction King's Zhen Yuan was also reduced by a small amount. This lost Zhen Yuan was not easy to recover, and it would take a long time if he were to rely on meditation and cultivation. East King, you also want to exchange a few moves with me? Xianhu flicked her sleeves and said. East King faintly smiled. There will be plenty of opportunities in the future. East King didn't have much confidence in exchanging moves with Xianhu, and he also felt that it was unnecessary. Exchanges between life and death kings had to be meaningful. If there was no meaning, very few people would exchange moves. Yi Chen, you're pretty good. I'll keep that bronze armor with you for the time being. East King glanced at Yi Chen. This glance gave Yi Chen an endless illusion, as if his entire being had been abandoned by the world and sunk into chaos. East King's gaze, without a trace of emotion, directly fell into Yi Chen's sea of soul. Since Senior East King says so, Yi Chen will reluctantly accept. Yi Chen was startled inwardly. In that instant, the world disappeared, leaving only East King's glance. Life and Death Kings have already grasped a trace of the mysteries of the soul. Even if they both have a 5th-step martial soul or sword soul, the might displayed by Life and Death Kings far surpasses those under Life and Death realm. This East King's martial will should be at the peak of the 6th step. Xianhu coldly snorted and didn't say anything. Suddenly, she raised her head and looked into the depths of the void. There, an extremely powerful aura was flying over. This aura was already powerful enough, but the following aura was even more powerful. It was as if the entire void was pressing down. Before the aura even arrived, a majestic aura filled the heaven and earth. The 2 auras clashed in the void. Everyone present quieted down, not daring to speak. Chapter 752. Yes, Master. Jiang Tian could sense the aura of his master, Air Emperor. As for the other one, he didn't need to guess to know that it was Shu King. Only Shu King could have such a magnificent aura that filled the heaven and earth. 2 titled monarchs. Yi Chen had long heard of Shu King's name, and now, he was about to meet him. As for Air Emperor, although his fame in the continent was far below Shu King's, in the eyes of insiders, Air Emperor and Shu King were naturally on the same level. Not only that, every Life and Death King present was a legendary figure in the eyes of ordinary people. The reason why he could see them was not because of luck, but because he had already touched upon this level. After all, the weakest here were peak master level experts. Bang! Bang! The sound of popping bubbles could be heard as 2 spatial halos appeared simultaneously. Within the spatial halos, 2 sovereigns of the world walked out, majestic and imposing. Just their silhouettes alone gave off a boundless pressure. They were like the heavens, like the earth, vast and boundless, commanding the universe. Air Emperor, Shu King, descended at the same time. Ling Tianshu, after so many years, your strength has actually improved. Admirable. Air Emperor was a handsome middle-aged man with broad shoulders and slender waist. His broad shoulders seemed to be able to support the entire sky. His nose bridge was tall and straight, his lips thin, and his eyes were like two black holes. His gaze was extremely focused, but one couldn't tell where he was looking at. With a single glance, one's soul would be sucked in. Your strength is truly unfathomable. I'm afraid in another 2 years, I won't be your opponent anymore. Shu King was a middle-aged man dressed in luxurious clothes with a golden crown on his head. His eyes seemed to contain the void, devouring the heaven and earth. Although he was a bit inferior to Air Emperor in terms of unfathomable depth, Shu King displayed an imposing aura that could devour mountains and rivers, encompassing the sun and moon. You're flattering me to death. Air Emperor faintly smiled as his gaze fell on the statue of 4 Extreme Emperor at the center of the plaza. Shu King's gaze also fell on the statue. The Air Emperor sighed and said, although you and I have reached the same height, compared to the ancients, we are still inferior. I wonder what kind of realm it is to take one step further. We'll know when we get there. Shu King looked indifferent. That's true. The Air Emperor raised his head slightly. His eyes were filled with unimaginable ambition, desire, and dominance. Master. Jiang Tian walked over quickly and cupped his hands in greeting. Who killed Lian Feng? The Air Emperor nodded slightly and asked. Hearing that, Jiang Tian looked at Yi Chen. I understand. The Air Emperor turned his head to look at Yi Chen. Not bad, not bad. Yi Chen, your true spirit continent actually produced such a genius. Even your disciple can't compare. Shu King said, I'm too lazy to care about the younger generation's business. Everyone has their own fortune. But, your disciple seems to have suffered at his hands as well. Hehe, that's right. The Air Emperor said as he glanced at Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian hurriedly lowered his head, looking ashamed. Air Emperor, Shu King. Xian Hu, sensing that something was wrong, stood out. Little girl, it's only been a few decades, but even I can't see through your qi anymore. Compared to the Air Emperor, Xian Hu and Yang Qingxian were indeed little girls. Xian Hu laughed, not at all. Everyone says that I have the same power as you guys, but it's just a facade. In the eyes of the world, Xian Hu was too talented, which led to her popularity. Naturally, people would raise her to a higher level. But, she herself did not see it that way. Titled monarchs were still titled monarchs. No matter how powerful a top king was, there was still a huge gap between them. This is not a compliment. I, Jiang Zhenkong, have not reached the point where I need to compliment others. The Air Emperor shook his head. He was indeed not complimenting Xian Hu and Yang Qingxian. In this era, there was no clear dividing line between titled monarchs and top kings. Moreover, Xuanho's power was indeed not to be underestimated. At their level, although cultivation and profound were important, it was not necessarily foolproof. There would always be some mysterious methods that could allow the weak to win against the strong. Life and death realm was a mysterious realm in itself. Xian Hu shook her head and smiled. She did not try to explain. Of course, although she did not have the confidence to fight against the Air Emperor Shu King, at least she had the power to protect herself. Moving his eyes away from Xian Hu, the Air Emperor looked at Yi Chen again and said, I, Jiang Zhenkong, will not bully the weak, but I am not someone who does not care about my subordinates. Otherwise, who would be willing to work for me? You killed the Windstorm King because you are powerful enough. But, before you killed him, you could have spared his life. It seems like I, Jiang Zhenkong, am still not powerful enough in this continent. Although the Air Emperor's voice did not contain any killing intent, once the group heard it, their hair stood up. And, Yi Chen's breathing accelerated. The Air Emperor was going to punish them. Air Emperor. Xian Hu frowned. The Air Emperor did not even turn his head as he said, Little girl Yang, I can't just ignore this. But, don't worry, I will not take his life, and I will not make him do things that he cannot do. Then, what are you doing? A bad feeling flashed through Xuanho's mind, but she could not figure out what the Air Emperor meant. Senior, killing the Windstorm King was indeed an impulsive decision on my part. I wonder what kind of price you want me to pay. Yi Chen did not plan to argue with him. Arguing with a powerful titled king warrior would be a stupid thing to do. If he angered him, he would only sacrifice himself for nothing. The Air Emperor was a bit surprised as he said, Don't worry, this is actually a good thing for you. You should have gotten an extreme rank great sword, right? Just as the Air Emperor finished his sentence, Yi Chen's heart skipped a beat. He had not expected the Air Emperor to be able to see through his storage ring and see what was inside. It was a miraculous skill that he had never heard of before. How could he not be shocked? As expected, when Yi Chen looked around, he found that except for a small number of people, the expressions of the others had changed when they looked at him. Some were greedy, some were murderous, some were malicious, and some were gloating. Senior, Yi Chen was about to say something, wanting to fight for the last time. The Air Emperor shook his head. You do not need to test me. Your storage ring is only a mid-rank one. How could I not see through it? You know what I mean. If you want to live and redeem yourself for killing Lian Feng, then hand over that extreme rank great sword. Otherwise, no one in this world can save you. There is indeed an extreme rank great sword, but I didn't notice it. As the Air Emperor spoke, Shu King also used his ability and saw through Yi Chen's storage ring. Inside Yi Chen's storage ring, the Sky Scorpio sword was hovering in the middle, emitting a purple halo. Purple crystals floated around it, looking magnificent and imposing. Air Emperor, this extreme rank great sword is Yi Chen's personal spoils of war. Aren't you being a bit insincere? Apart from this extreme rank great sword, I can agree to your other requests on his behalf. Xian Hu naturally wouldn't ask Yi Chen to hand over the Sky Scorpio sword. Not to mention the impact it would have on her reputation, just the extreme rank great sword itself would be hard to make one willingly hand over. Once Yi Chen advanced to life and death realm, he would have an even greater strength. Little Yang, you know that I, Jiang Jiankong, am a man of my words. I've already given you a lot of face. Otherwise, I wouldn't even need to make a move. I'd have absolute confidence in making him disappear from this world. The Air Emperor's voice was slightly cold. I naturally know this. However, this request, I can't comply. Empress Xian closed her eyes. When she opened them again, they were cold. Behind her, layer after layer of spatial gates appeared. It was unknown how many there were. Interesting. Little Yang, what do you think I should do now? The Air Emperor's right hand behind his back lightly clenched into a fist. The surrounding space suddenly distorted and shattered, creating countless black wrinkles. The surrounding life and death kings were astonished. The Air Emperor didn't even circulate Shen Yuan, and merely clenched his fist to shatter the void. This kind of method was simply unimaginable. Do what you have to do. Xian Hu was crystal clear that it would be harder than ascending to the heavens to make the other give up. Since that was the case, there was no point in wasting words. She could only fight with all her might. Good. The Air Emperor loudly shouted and punched at Xian Hu. Xian Hu didn't fear it at all. The space gate behind her turned solid and swallowed Xian Hu. From the Air Emperor's point of view, Xian Hu, who was surrounded by layers of space gates, seemed endless and unreachable. Bang 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 bang. The Air Emperor's fist energy was vast and ferocious, shattering layer after layer of space gates. It seemed as if nothing could obstruct his fist energy. However, the Air Emperor's destruction was fast, and the space gates were also fast. They maintained a balance, preventing the fist energy from closing in on Xian Hu. This is the mysterious 10,000 layer gate. The Air Emperor squinted his eyes, his expression turning grave. The others also couldn't help but admire Xian Hu. Xuanho's mysterious Dao was broad, profound, and incomparably mysterious. Compared to the previous cultivator of the mysterious Dao, the mysterious king, she wasn't inferior in any way. Moreover, it had something of Xuanho's own. Watching from the side, Shu King's expression was indifferent. The battle between the Air Emperor and Xian Hu was of great value to him. It would allow him to somewhat estimate the bottom line of the Air Emperor and Xian Hu. Although the mysterious 10,000 layer gate is said to be unbreakable, it might not be able to stop me. The aura on the Air Emperor's body grew even more powerful. Clearly, he was about to go all out. However, right at this moment, the Air Emperor suddenly stopped and gazed at the void. Haha, Jiang Jiankong, why the need to make such a big fuss? Let's just sit down and talk. An incomparably frightening aura suddenly appeared. The entire sky above the plaza twisted and overlapped. Immediately, a pressure even more powerful than that of Shu King and the Air Emperor descended from the sky. Not to mention those below life and death realm, even some ordinary kings felt their bodies become much heavier. How many years of cultivation base is this? 1,500 years? 2,000 years? It's the Dragon King. Only the Dragon King's cultivation base can surpass the Air Emperor and Shu King. The Dragon King has also come. Seems like his closed-door cultivation has succeeded. Everyone's thoughts turned at lightning speed, immediately guessing who the newcomer was. Although the Dragon King wasn't a titled monarch, he was the oldest monarch of the human race. Nobody knew how deep his cultivation base was. All they knew was that his cultivation base was something even titled monarchs couldn't compare to. For a long time, the Dragon King had the title of number one under titled monarchs. Some even considered him an actual titled monarch. The old Dragon King has also come. Qing Liu let out a sigh of relief, a happy expression on her face. Chapter 753. Catcher. A crack appeared in the space above the Four Extremes Plaza, and the benevolent-looking old Dragon King walked out. His hair was white, but his spirit was excellent, as if he could live for many more years. His spirit, qi, and soul were even more vigorous than those young life and death kings. Senior Dragon King, Yi Chen and the rest greeted. Dragon King waved his hand and smiled at Yi Chen. Yi Chen, your senior Air Emperor is just joking with you. Don't take it to heart. Joking? That's not necessarily true. Air Emperor was naturally not joking with Yi Chen. However, he was quite apprehensive of Dragon King. After living for more than 1,000 years, nobody knew what tricks Dragon King had up his sleeves. He had the confidence to defeat Dragon King, but he also believed that he would have to pay a disastrous price. Most importantly, he didn't have the confidence to deal with both Dragon King and Shenhu at the same time. Air Emperor, I'm very sorry about Wind Storm King's death. But, the winner takes all. It's that simple. We've also come this far. Shenhu dispersed the mysterious 10,000 layers gate and walked out of the void. What a good winner takes all. Fine, I'll give old Dragon King and Yang Girl some face today and not lower myself to your level. But, that might not be the case in the future. Air Emperor retracted his oppressive aura and said with an indifferent tone. The graveyard of Four Extremes Emperor had already opened, and the things inside that could catch his eye were few and far between. If he were to fight with Shenhu and Dragon King for a supreme grade sword, it would instead benefit Shu King. He didn't have the confidence to come out unscathed under the joint attack of Shenhu and Dragon King. Hearing these words, Dragon King smiled. Yi Chen, why aren't you thanking Senior Air Emperor? Many thanks to Senior Air Emperor for not taking it to heart. Yi Chen was also a person who knew when to advance and when to retreat. In front of absolute strength, one had to lower one's head. This had nothing to do with surrendering. No need to thank me. It's just for today. The Air Emperor waved his hand and no longer looked at Yi Chen. As they spoke, more and more life and death kings arrived. There were peak kings like Evil King and Prison King, as well as some solitary kings. There were also some kings that no one had ever heard of. They should be the kind of hidden kings that no one had heard of. Yi Chen, after we get out, you should bid farewell to your family and prepare to leave the continent. Shenhu waved her sleeve, creating an invisible barrier to prevent others from hearing their voices. Qingxian is right. There are many kings on True Spirit Continent. Just human kings alone number more than 100. Adding the foreign kings, it's very complicated. The matter of you having the Sky Scorpio sword is no longer a secret. Staying on True Spirit Continent will be extremely dangerous. Qingxian and Old Dragon King can't appear in front of you at any time. Qing Liu also said. Yi Chen nodded, I have already prepared for this. It is time to leave the continent. He had offended a lot of life and death kings. Although these life and death kings were quite afraid of Shenhu and Dragon King, and would not dare to kill him in public, but if they wanted to assassinate him, they would have plenty of methods. In this world, relying on others would always be a waste. Relying on oneself was the way to go. I will go with you. Murong Qingcheng held Yi Chen's hand. Yi Chen turned his head and smiled. With the woman he loved accompanying him, it did not matter where he went. Yi Chen, don't worry. No one will dare to touch your family, and no one will break this taboo. Our Dragon God Celestial Palace will also ensure their safety. Dragon King continued, as for Shu Jing, you do not need to worry. She is different from you. When you meet again, you will know who she is. At that time, you will have to rely on yourselves to protect yourselves. Remember, before you become a life and death king, you better not come back. Not everyone wants you to become a life and death king, and I do not have many years left to live. Senior Dragon King. Yi Chen looked worried. Dragon King smiled as he waved his hand. After living for 1,000 years, I have no regrets. If I can see you guys grow before I die, it would be the best. If you have the heart, perhaps the Dragon God Celestial Palace will depend on you to preserve it. Yi Chen said seriously, Senior, don't worry. As long as Yi Chen has one breath left, I will not let the Dragon God Celestial Palace disappear. Of course, Senior, you will definitely live well. You have made it through so many times already. Dragon King said, impossible. Nothing can happen more than 3 times. I know my own situation the best. Right then, Shenhu sighed, this is a great era, and also a time of chaos. No one knows what will happen in the future. Yi Chen, Murong, Feng you 3 are the martial geniuses I think highly of. You have to work hard and control your own destiny. Master, I will. Yang Fengfeng's expression was resolute. Yi Chen and Murong will as well. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng exchanged a glance and nodded. All right, you won't be able to interfere in the following matters. Remember, leave True Spirit Continent as soon as possible. The farther, the better. Xianhu didn't want to scare them too much, but she still had to give them the necessary pressure. Senior, farewell. Yi Chen was also not a wishy-washy person. He cupped his fists and left. Watching Yi Chen and the rest leave, Dragon King said, everyone has their own destiny. It's up to them now. He is not a fish in a pond. Xianhu had never been able to see through Yi Chen. Yi Chen's future accomplishments were unfathomable. Leaving the graveyard, Yi Chen's group of 5 returned the way they came. Soon, they exited the forbidden region and arrived in the outside world. Yi Chen, I have no worries. I'm going to leave True Spirit Continent now. However, I'm going to the deep ocean beyond the western shallow ocean. If you're going in the same direction as me, we might meet in the deep ocean. Sun Tianlang didn't have a strong backer. If he didn't leave, only death would await him. Therefore, he had to leave True Spirit Continent. Brother Sun, I've implicated you this time. Yi Chen was very apologetic. Sun Tianlang said unhappily, what are you saying? If not for you guys, I would have died in there long ago. This life of mine was picked up, and I even obtained many benefits. Yi Chen, if you treat me as a friend, even an ordinary one, don't mention these things in the future. All right, I won't mention it. Yi Chen also felt that he was being too blunt. In that case, we'll meet again someday. I hope I can also step into life and death realm in my lifetime. Sun Tianlang laughed heartily and sped away. After one of them left, Yi Chen and the other 3 were heading in the same direction, so they headed back together. Not far away from the mysterious martial school, the 4 were about to separate as well. Yi Chen, we'll meet again someday. Yang Fengfeng, who was standing on top of the mountain, said, the next time we meet, I hope we will all be life and death realm warriors. Definitely. After going through thick and thin together, Yi Chen had already treated Yang Fengfeng as his best friend. It was the kind of person who would do anything for each other without any reason. Yi Chen, live on. Qing Liu was their senior, so she reminded him. The Sky Martial region was quite a distance away from the South Rudra region. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng got on the flying puppet, flying at 10 times the speed of sound. On the back of the flying puppet, Murong Qingcheng said, Yi Chen, time is running out. You don't have to go back with me. I can go back by myself. Then, be careful. Yi Chen felt that it was reasonable. Yeah, right. Where are we going after leaving this land? Murong Qingcheng asked. Yi Chen looked to the south and said, I have a couple of friends there. Let's go to the South Shallow Ocean first, then to the Endless Ocean. Let's meet up in the South Rudra region's Sky South Nation. The Sky South Nation was one of the small nations in the South Rudra region. It was close to the South Shallow Ocean, and was not that far away from the Windy Nation. All right. After separating from Murong Ching Cheng, Yi Chen immediately flew toward the Yi family. Yi family, you are leaving the land? Yi Tianhao was confused. Yi Chen had to tell his parents some things. Although Shen Yuqing looked reluctant, he still said, remember, be careful out there. When it is time to back off, you still have to back off a bit. Otherwise, you might make too many enemies. Mother, I understand. Father, you don't have to worry. This time, I'll be leaving the continent. I'll be back in 5 years at most. For us martial artists, 5 years is very short. Astral reaching experts could live up to 200 years. Yi Chen had left behind a lot of resources for his parents and Yi family. Charging into the Sea of Soul Realm was not without hope. Once one became a Sea of Soul Realm expert, they would have a lifespan of 300 years. 5 years compared to 300 years was indeed not worth mentioning. Moreover, with his younger brother and sister here, Yi Chen could also leave without worry. All right, as long as you're safe. Yi Tianhao and Shen Yuqing's faces were filled with both reluctance and pride. Yi Chen was already a legend of true spirit continent. As Yi Chen's parents, they had long since been satisfied. Returning to Sky Cloud sect, Yi Chen couldn't help but sigh at the changes. Compared to the old Sky Cloud sect, the current Sky Cloud sect was more than 10 times larger. The experts in the sect were like clouds in the sky. From one astral reaching expert, it had grown to dozens, especially the core disciples, who were all at the astral reaching realm. Among them, the well-known figures like Luo Hanshan, Zhu Mai, and Zhong Haoren had even reached the Sea of Soul realm. Even without Yi Chen, Sky Cloud sect was already an influential 6th grade sect in South Rudra region. Of course, all of this was brought about by Yi Chen. Geniuses needed both talent and resources. Only with sufficient resources could one display their talent to the fullest. After all, not everyone could have a heaven-defying opportunity. Some geniuses with bad luck, because they didn't have enough resources, had their progress slowed. Seeing Yi Chen, these disciples of the same generation as Yi Chen were deeply moved. Although they didn't have Yi Chen's achievements, they were already independent experts in South Rudra region, which had long surpassed their dreams. How could they not understand that the rise of Sky Cloud sect was because of Yi Chen? Back then, when Yi Chen obtained the first place in the Hidden Dragon ranking, it had already brought a huge fortune to Sky Cloud sect. Yi Chen, be careful. As the leader of Sky Cloud sect, Luo Hanshan had taken his former senior sister, Zhu Mai, as his wife. The two already had a child, a girl. Next to him, Zhu Mai, who had a more mature temperament, smiled and said, You will always be the pride of Sky Cloud sect. Luo Hanshan and I often reminisce about the times when we were both disciples. Yi Chen was too different. It was impossible for Zhu Mai to say that she didn't have a crush on Yi Chen. In fact, most of the girls in Sky Cloud sect had a crush on Yi Chen. However, they could only keep it in their hearts, because Yi Chen and they were not in the same world after all. Hee hee. Yi Chen chuckled. Sometimes, he also liked to reminisce. Yi Chen, take care. Zhong Haoren, who had become more mature, patted Yi Chen's shoulder. I will. Yi Chen turned his head to look at Wu Zongming, then looked at the disciples of the same generation as him. He revealed a smile, then turned around and flew out of the windy mountain. Sky South Nation, on a mountain peak near the sea, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng were standing on the mountain peak hand in hand, looking at the sea in the distance. A red sun was slowly rising up, stretching the two's shadows, their clothes fluttering in the wind. Chapter 754. The South Shallow Ocean is not as complicated as the continent and the other shallow oceans. There is only a South Shallow Ocean alliance made up of countless forces. Of course, it is not because the people here are united, but because of the threat from the deep ocean. When he first came to the South Shallow Ocean, Yi Chen had not reached the Sea of Souls realm yet, and he was chased by the Ao family. This time, Yi Chen was already at late Sea of Souls realm, and his power had reached the top half-step king warrior level. But, thinking back to the battle at the bottom of the ocean, he still felt a lingering fear. That battle was not a battle of one force against another, but a battle between the South Shallow Ocean Alliance and all the forces in the deep ocean. He had only participated in the initial battle, and the two sides had not gotten serious yet. Where are we going? Yi Chen had not told Murong Qingcheng anything about the South Shallow Ocean, so Murong Qingcheng did not know what they were here for. I have some connections with the Water Ape Mansion. Let's go there first. It had been a couple of years, and he wondered how Sun Xiaojin and Wang Snake were doing. Above the boundless ocean, a flying puppet carrying two figures broke through the sky. The Water Ape Mansion is down there. Yi Chen was about to put away the flying puppet when he suddenly squinted his eyes. Eat my staff. Below, the ocean water started to rumble as a silver iron staff grew longer and longer. Eventually, it carried the power of wind, rain, thunder, and lightning, turning into a sky pillar that attacked at Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng. Although Murong Qingcheng's power was also at the half-step king warrior level, facing this attack, she still felt like she had nowhere to run. In her sight, besides this staff, there was nothing else. It is an old friend. Yi Chen smiled lightly as he took out his Thunder Disaster Sword and threw out a sword attack. As the sword was waved out, the sky suddenly darkened, and the sword light shone like a rainbow. Dang! The staff and sword clashed, and Yi Chen could not help but let out a cry of surprise. He could not help but take a couple of steps back, and the shockwave cut off a layer of ocean water within 100 miles. Rumble! A water pillar soared into the sky, and within it was a chaotic world ape. This ape held a silver iron rod in his hand. He had long arms and legs, and his bulging muscles were filled with explosive power. His fangs extended from his upper lip, and they were abnormally sharp. His golden pupils gave off an incomparably fierce and oppressive feeling. Brother Sun, you gave me such a big gift right off the bat. Yi Chen stopped retreating and said with a smile. The chaotic ape was, of course, Sun Xiaojin. The black fur on his body had turned into a silver-black color, and his body had become slightly thinner. However, he seemed to have become even more powerful and vicious. Compared to before, his pressure had increased by more than 10 times. An ape-type demonic beast. Murong Qingcheng suddenly understood. Yi Chen introduced the two. Murong, this is Sun Xiaojin from the Water Ape Cave. He had saved my life before. Brother Sun, this is my girlfriend, Murong Qingcheng. After the two got to know each other, Sun Xiaojin started to study Yi Chen, his pair of golden pupils rolling around. Brother Yi, are you at late Sea of Souls realm? Indeed. Yi Chen nodded. Sun Xiaojin continued to say, I am already a half-step beast king. I did not expect that my unexpected stick attack could only make you back a couple of steps. Ever since the battle at the bottom of the ocean started, it had never ended. Sun Xiaojin had gone through thousands of battles, and his cultivation had increased drastically. He had reached the half-step beast king realm a year ago, and the red gold ape bloodline inside his body had been mostly activated, which had turned his black fur into silver-black color and his pupils into gold. His battling power was way more powerful than normal half-step beast kings. Yi Chen had just arrived at the Water Ape Cave when Sun Xiaojin knew about it. He wanted to test Yi Chen's power, which was why the scene just now had happened. However, what surprised him was that even though he had improved a lot, Yi Chen's improvement was not any weaker than his. Facing his unexpected stick attack, Yi Chen had only taken half a step back, and his face was not even red or out of breath. Not really surprising. There are not many half-step king warriors who can make me take a couple of steps back. Brother Sun is one of them. Yi Chen sighed at Sun Xiaojin's potential. Although Yang Fengfeng was a top rank warrior, which was a bit more powerful than Sun Xiaojin, under the same realm, her battling power might not be as powerful as Sun Xiaojin's. It was not that Blue Phoenix's potential was not that great, but it could only be said that Yang Fengfeng's flame control was very powerful, while the red gold ape bloodline was born for killing. You are the guest today, so I will not challenge you. But, after today, we will definitely have a battle. If it were someone else, Sun Xiaojin would not bother to challenge them at all. But it was Yi Chen. Sun Xiaojin's fighting spirit was very high. For him, winning against Yi Chen would be more meaningful than winning against 10 or even 100 half-step king warriors. Hee. Yi Chen chuckled, not minding Sun Xiaojin's straightforwardness at all. Inside the water ape cave, the leader of the water ape race, Sun Tai, laughed. Yi Chen, I was not wrong about you after all. He had seen the exchange between Sun Xiaojin and Yi Chen. Seriously speaking, Sun Xiaojin and Yi Chen were evenly matched, and there was a whole realm difference between the two. Senior Sun, you are flattering me. Yi Chen held his fists together. You did not come to visit us this time, did you? Sun Tai ordered people to bring some fruits and tea for Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng as he asked. Yi Chen said, I have offended some king warriors, so I have to leave the continent for a while to explore the outside world. This time, I came to visit Senior and Brother Sun, and Wang Snake and Wang Mai are the other two. I will leave in a day or two. Sun Tai nodded. It is good to explore the outside world. The outside world is huge, and it would be impressive if I could explore 10 or 20% of it in my life. After drinking tea for a while, Wang Snake and Wang Mai arrived. Brother Yi. Hello, Brother Yi. Wang Snake and Wang Mai had just entered the hall when they saw Yi Chen. Wang Snake could not help but reveal a joyful expression as he walked up to him. Yi Chen stood up, patted Wang Snake's shoulder, and said with a smile, It has been a long time, and you have grown up. When he left, Wang Snake was still a teenager. Brother Yi, are you taking us away? Wang Snake had a bit of expectation on his face. The people in the water ape cave had been nice to them, but Yi Chen had done him a favor that he would never forget. He had always wanted to explore the world with Yi Chen. Yi Chen shook his head and said, No, maybe next time. The deep ocean was too dangerous, and having more people was not necessarily a good thing. I see. A disappointed look flashed through Wang Snake's eyes. He then noticed Murong Qingcheng, who was standing right next to Yi Chen, and asked, Brother Yi, who is this? She is Murong Qingcheng, my girlfriend. Hello, sister-in-law. Wang Snake said obediently. Hello. There was a bit of shyness on Murong Qingcheng's face. Oh right, after so many years, you two have already reached the Sea of Soul's realm. Let me see how powerful you are. Yi Chen was trying to test the two's power. All right. Wang Snake nodded immediately. On the wide open space in the cave, there was a circle of water apes, including Sun Tai and Sun Xiaojin. In the field, Yi Chen said to Wang Snake and Wang Mai, You two attack at the same time. I will only use early Sea of Soul's realm cultivation to fight you two. The two's cultivation had increased way too fast, especially Wang Snake, who had somehow managed to catch up and reach mid-Sea of Soul's realm. Of course, it was because of the blood crystal, but it was still not normal. Although the realm was increasing fast, the power might not be as fast. Brother Yi, we are going to attack now. Wang Snake and Wang Mai knew that Yi Chen was very powerful. They had the 9-headed snake bloodline, and normal late Sea of Soul's realm warriors would not be their opponents. However, if it were Yi Chen, they would have to use all of their power to make Yi Chen satisfied. Yi Chen nodded. Fire snake dance. Wind snake kill. Wang Snake had trained the fire profound. Combined with his 9-headed snake bloodline, his attacking power was shocking. Wang Mai had trained the wind profound, which worked together with Wang Snake. Yi Chen shook his head as he pointed out a sharp finger. The two Jin Yuan snakes were cut in half. Use all of your power. Your understanding of the profound is still a bit low. With only early Sea of Soul's realm cultivation, Yi Chen was confident that he could kill the two within a second with that finger attack. But it was not enough to satisfy him. All right. Wang Snake and Wang Mai started to get serious as the qi on their bodies increased drastically. Meanwhile, two huge snake shadows appeared in the void behind them. One was 8-headed while the other was 7-headed. The 8-headed snake shadow belonged to Wang Snake. Wang Mai's was slightly weaker, but it was still very powerful. Shoo, shoo, shoo. The 8-headed snake and 7-headed snake were wrapped in blazing flames and sharp gales. The 15 snake heads attacked Yi Chen separately, dazzling everyone's eyes. Ding 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 ding. Yi Chen flicked the heads of the snakes away with his fingers. Go. Suddenly, Wang Snake's 8-headed snake shadow extended another head, turning into a 9-headed snake shadow. The 9 heads moved in a mysterious pattern, attacking toward Yi Chen at the same time. At that moment, time seemed to have stopped. These 9 heads were not as simple as numbers. Perfect half-demon bloodline. Yi Chen was surprised. He did not expect that Wang Shi could improve the 9-headed Hydra bloodline to the perfect level, which was the same as Murong Qingqing's perfect demonic bloodline. Break. With a finger as black as ink, Yi Chen destroyed the force field created by the 9-headed Hydra phantom. Brother Yi, we can't win. Wang Snake backed out dozens of steps and said. Yi Chen said, not bad. But, you guys have been focusing too much on the 9-headed Hydra bloodline, and your understanding of the profound is a bit low. Oh right, Wang Snake, it seems like you have already reached the perfect 9-headed Hydra bloodline. Brother Yi, I have refined 3 bloodline crystals and just stabilized the perfect 9-headed Hydra bloodline. Wang Snake and Wang Mai were very confident at the beginning, thinking that they could follow behind Yi Chen and not drag him down. But now, it seemed like they had been thinking too much. Yi Chen had restricted his cultivation to early Sea of Soul's realm and used his finger as a sword, yet he could still beat them easily. They were not even at the same level. After testing Wang Snake and Wang Mai's power, Sun Xiaojin could not help but want to try. Yi Chen could tell that Sun Xiaojin could not wait anymore, so he suggested to fight outside the cave. Sun Xiaojin, who was already a half-step beast king, was very powerful. He was definitely a top half-step beast king. Fighting head-on, even Yi Chen was slightly weaker than him. But, once Yi Chen performed his waning moon, Sun Xiaojin was blown away immediately. After staying in the cave for a day, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng left at noon on the second day. Chapter 755. Above the boundless ocean, a huge bird-like flying puppet was flying at high speed. Boundless ocean is indeed worthy of its name. It's so desolate. After flying for 10 days and 10 nights, I haven't even seen a shadow of a human. There was a small wooden house on the puppet's back. This was the puppet house Yi Chen had obtained from the puppet school's branch ruins. The house wasn't too big, and it was just right for it to fit on the puppet's back. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng were lying in the house, chatting while drinking tea and eating fruits. Lightly taking a bite of the fire pear, Murong Qingcheng said, be it humans or demonic beasts, most of them live in groups. Boundless ocean is so big, so it's normal to not see people for a long time. Spitting out the core of the fire pear, Yi Chen smiled, fortunately, I have you to accompany me. Otherwise, it would be quite boring. When traveling alone, apart from cultivating, there was nothing else one could do. In fact, many times, cultivating was meaningless. As he spoke, Yi Chen's right hand, which was holding Murong Qingcheng, slid into her clothes. Another 4 or 5 days passed in a flash. On this day, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng finally saw a human. Brother, why don't you come over and have a chat? Yi Chen walked out of the puppet house and stood on the head of the puppet, raising his voice. From afar, the human flew over. This person's cultivation base was not weak either. Like Yi Chen, he was at late Sea of Soul realm. He was about 40 years old, and his eyes were filled with caution. He stopped a few li away, not daring to approach any closer. This one is Yi Chen. What is this brother's name? Yi Chen said with a faint smile. This one is Liu Hai. So it's brother Liu. Yi Chen cupped his fists. Liu Hai saw that Yi Chen didn't look like an evil person, so he hurriedly returned the greeting. Yi Chen glanced behind Liu Hai and asked, Brother Liu, I saw that you were panicking before, but there was nothing chasing you. It's quite strange. Liu Hai smiled bitterly. Brother Yi should be here for the first time, right? Indeed. Yi Chen nodded. After a moment of silence, Liu Hai said, This is an ominous place. I advise you to leave quickly. An ominous place? Yi Chen revealed a puzzled expression. Brother Liu, why is this place ominous? I'm very curious. Have you heard of the legend of the Devouring Island? No. Yi Chen shook his head. Legend has it that there is a devouring island within 1,000,000 miles of this place. Those who have been devoured by that island have never been able to come out. I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but there are many treasures here. Many lucky people have obtained inestimable treasures here. To tell you the truth, I came here to try my luck, but just now I heard some strange sounds, so I hurriedly left. I've made a fool of myself in front of you, explained Liu Hai. The devouring island has many treasures. Interesting. Yi Chen touched his chin. Brother Yi, if there's nothing else, I'll leave first, Liu Hai said. All right, thanks a lot. Farewell. Cupping his fists, Liu Hai turned into a stream of light and quickly disappeared into the horizon. Entering the puppet house, Yi Chen said to Murong Qingcheng, I wonder if it's true or not. Murong Qingcheng said, perhaps it's similar to the fog-forbidden zone. Ian, it's better to stay away from this kind of place. No one was willing to enter this kind of dangerous place. Many years ago, Yi Chen also entered the fog-forbidden zone because he had no other choice. Normally, he would never do this. As Liu Hai said, the treasures near the devouring island attracted many people. After flying for hundreds of thousands of miles, Yi Chen saw a verdant island. Other than a large number of trees, there were also many buildings. It looked very prosperous. Let's go take a look. Yi Chen controlled the flying puppet to approach. It is quite lively. In the sky above the island, Yi Chen was a bit surprised. The island was not a temporary place to live. Obviously, it had already developed into a special town. Inside the town, the lowest cultivation of the warriors was at the astral reaching realm. Sometimes, one could even see half-step king warriors with immeasurable qi. Yi Chen, let's go down. It had been half a month since they had eaten a hot meal, so Murong Qingcheng suggested. All right. Putting away the flying puppet, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng landed. On the wide and busy street, there were a lot of people setting up stalls. Extreme rank water spirit stone for 3 million top rank spirit stones. Come quickly if you are interested. 10 semi-extreme rank fire cloud stones for 1,500,000 top rank spirit stones. If you are not interested, please do not disturb. The stall was not that eye-catching, but the slogan of the stall owner made Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng exchange a look. So strange. Murong Qingcheng could not help but say. It is strange indeed. Are they not afraid of being targeted? In a place without rules like this, exposing one's wealth was not a smart move, unless one was very confident in his power. But, no matter how Yi Chen looked at it, he did not think that these stall owners would be able to keep their wealth. The one with the highest cultivation was only at peak level late sea of Soul's realm. Hey, you two are new here, right? Right next to them, a middle-aged man said kindly. Indeed, we have just arrived at this island. Yi Chen replied. This island is called the Crystal Island. You two might not know about it yet, but it is not that there are no rules here. Instead, it is an island with very strict rules. It is the Blackwater Alliance that controls the island. Inside the alliance, there are more than 20 rank 5 powers and hundreds of rank 6 powers. If you want to cause trouble here, you will be chased by the powerful warriors of the Blackwater Alliance. The middle-aged man explained. I see. Yi Chen nodded, but he still had some doubts. He thought to himself, even if this place is very safe, there is no need to trade all kinds of treasures in the open. Seeming to have seen through Yi Chen's confusion, the middle-aged man continued, the reason these stall owners are rushing to sell their treasures for top-rank spirit stones is because the Blackwater Alliance has mastered the manufacturing method of Zhenyuan crystals. Plus, they are selling them to the public. As long as you have enough spirit stones, you can buy as many as you want. Zhenyuan crystals? Selling them to the public? Yi Chen was shocked. Making Zhenyuan crystals was hard even for half-step king warriors, and only life and death realm warriors would be able to do it. But, life and death realm warriors would not be able to sell their Zhenyuan crystals. Firstly, they were not lacking in spirit stones, and secondly, there was a limit to their manpower. They could not just stop training, so making Zhenyuan crystals every day would not be necessary. Zhenyuan crystals were very useful. If used for training, It would be 10 times faster with half the effort. In this true spirit continent, Jinyuan crystals were definitely priceless treasures. No martial institution would be willing to sell them. The deep ocean is indeed full of strange things. Yi Chen shook his head and forced a smile. Murong Qingcheng said to the middle-aged man, "You can really use spirit stones to buy Jinyuan crystals? How many top-rank spirit stones for one? Because Jinyuan crystals are too precious, there is no standard. On the Crystal Island, 10,000 top-rank spirit stones would be enough for one low-rank Jinyuan crystal, and 1 million would be enough for one mid-rank Jinyuan crystal. As for top-rank Jinyuan crystals, the Blackwater Alliance does not have them. Jinyuan crystals were also divided into different grades. Warriors who had just reached the life and death realm could only make low-rank Jinyuan crystals at most. Only after 1,000 years of training would they be able to make mid-rank Jinyuan crystals. I wonder where I can exchange for them." Yi Chen wanted to go and have a look. "There is a tower over there. Do you see it? There are powerful warriors from the Blackwater Alliance managing it. Once you enter, there will be someone to receive you." The middle-aged man pointed at a tower at the end of the street. "Thank you for telling me." Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng said goodbye to the middle-aged man and walked toward the tower. There were no guards outside, so Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng walked in directly. "You are here to exchange for Jinyuan crystals?" As soon as they entered, a bulky man came over to greet them. "Indeed." Yi Chen looked around and found that there were only a few people on the first floor. However, there were a lot of unfathomable auras on the second floor and above. They should be powerful warriors from the Blackwater Alliance. "You are new here, right? Register here first." The bulky man took out a hexagonal crystal that looked like jade and crystal but was not. The crystal emitted a circle of light and scanned Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng. Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng squinted their eyes. They had already sensed that their images had been stored in the crystal, and there was also the date of their arrival on the island. It would be very hard to fake. "All right." Putting away the crystal, the bulky man said, "Since you have not been on the island for a year, you can only exchange for 10 low-rank Jinyuan crystals per month. Didn't that guy just say that we could exchange without limit?" Yi Chen said. "He must not have said it clearly. This is the rule here. But, if you are willing to take on the missions from our Blackwater Alliance, not only can you cancel the 1-year limit, you can even get 10% off for Jinyuan crystals." "Missions? What kind of missions?" "On the first of every month, there will be missions on the mission board in the center of the island. You can decide which mission to take on then. Since that is the case, let's exchange for 20 low-rank Jinyuan crystals first." Yi Chen took out 20 boxes filled with top-rank soul stones and piled them up on the ground. "The number is just right." The bulky man opened each box and nodded. He took out 20 crystals with a dreamy luster from his storage ring and handed them to Yi Chen. Leaving the tower, Yi Chen said, "I did not expect there to be an island like this in the deep ocean. There are so many strange things in this world. Yi Chen, should we stay here for a while?" Murong Qingcheng played with the Jinyuan crystals in her hand and asked. "We have nothing to do anyway. Let's just stay here for a couple of days," Yi Chen said. Finding a restaurant, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng checked in. Then, Yi Chen started to train the Jinyuan crystals. Jinyuan crystals were solid Jinyuan crystals. But, it did not mean that one could just compress their own Jinyuan into crystals. Instead, they would have to remove some of the elements from their Jinyuan and turn it into crystals that everyone could train. For example, if one had the earth element Jinyuan, the Jinyuan crystals that were directly compressed would not be pure Jinyuan crystals, but earth element Jinyuan crystals. Not only would they have a low stability, but they could also be broken easily. Plus, they could only be trained by earth element warriors. Jinyuan crystals were indeed Jinyuan crystals. With only 5 of them, Yi Chen had increased his cultivation from late seas of Soul's Realm to peak level late seas of Soul's Realm. If it were top-rank soul stones, it would take at least a couple of months. Chapter 756. Advancing from late Sea of Soul Realm to peak Sea of Soul Realm doesn't require that many Jin Yuan crystals. I only used 5 out of 20. Since Murong Qingcheng cultivated demonic power, Jin Yuan crystals were useless to her. Therefore, the 20 Jin Yuan crystals were all with Yi Chen. Putting away the remaining Jin Yuan crystals, Yi Chen thought for a bit and took out the Sky Fiend Fire Spirit Fruit. Good steel had to be used on the blade's edge. In other words, it had to be used at the most crucial moment. Now that he had used the fruit, Yi Chen's spirit body would reach the 4th step, which would be a prerequisite for him to enter the half-step king realm. If he didn't use it, who knew when he would become a half-step king? Of course, it was indeed a bit of a waste to do so. After all, the Sky Fiend Fire Spirit Fruit could upgrade a 4th step spirit body to the 5th step. Upgrading a 3rd step to the 4th step would be too much of a waste. However, time waited for no man. He would not wait for his spirit body to reach the 4th step before using the fruit. After eating so many days of fire pear, my spirit body's strength has increased a bit. It should be close to the peak of the 3rd step. I wonder to what extent would it reach after refining the fruit. Raising the Sky Fiend Fire Spirit Fruit in his hand, Yi Chen examined it carefully, then swallowed it in one bite and chewed on it. Hot. The first thing he felt after swallowing the fruit was heat. It wasn't a heat that came from the outside, but from his heart, as if his body was about to be ignited. So hot. Yi Chen hurried to take off all his clothes and sat on the bed with his legs crossed and naked. Unfortunately, taking off his clothes had no effect at all. Visible to the naked eye, a white mist rose from Yi Chen's tall and sturdy body, carrying a trace of red. The red color increased, eventually replacing the white and turning into a red qi flow. As the qi flow spread out, the bed made of precious wood turned into ashes without a sound. Worthy of being the Sky Fiend Fire Spirit Fruit, Yi Chen was afraid that the whole restaurant would be ignited, so he had to take out a tower shield from his storage ring and sit on top of it. With the tower shield, although the room was like a furnace, the red qi flow would not be too far away from Yi Chen. 15 minutes passed. 30 minutes. 1 hour. 2 hours. During these 2 hours, Yi Chen felt as if he was being roasted on a rack of lava. His muscles, blood, meridians, and bones, there wasn't a single part of him that wasn't being tested. Sometimes, his entire body was burning, and the pain was unbearable. Other times, his bones were numb, as if there were countless ants gnawing on them. Other times, his entire body was convulsing, and he couldn't control himself. In the end, Yi Chen's eyes turned fiery red. It really fucking hurts. Yi Chen believed that he did not lack willpower, but at this moment, he still had the urge to roar. The pain would eventually pass. When his body could no longer feel any pain, an extremely comfortable and refreshing stream of air naturally spread out. Due to the huge contrast, Yi Chen finally couldn't help but moan out loud, and all the pores on his body expanded at the same time. First refining, then nourishing. So that's how it is. Before, every inch of Yi Chen's flesh and bones was being refined, and some of the hard-to-remove impurities were burned clean. Then, the special property of the Sky Fiend Fire Spirit Fruit slowly imprinted itself on Yi Chen's body, making Yi Chen's spirit body no longer just a normal body, but a higher-level existence, as if it was on the verge of evolution. If someone was here and had the ability to see through things, they would see that Yi Chen's flesh and blood were crystal clear like jade. His blood was like melted red crystals, and his bones were like white metal. From inside to outside, it was like a brand new body. Rank 4 spirit body, done. As the refreshing stream of air was used up, the fiery red light in Yi Chen's eyes gradually disappeared. Crack. Raising his head, Yi Chen tightened his fists. The powerful force made the space vibrate slightly, and all the furniture in the room fell down. Almost at the peak of rank 4, right? Just one more rank. Rank 4 spirit body was the body of a king warrior, and the body's toughness had reached an inhuman level. Without exaggeration, even if Yi Chen did not rely on his protective Jin Yuan, an astral-reaching realm warrior would not be able to hurt him even a little bit. Even a Sea of Soul realm warrior would not be able to wound him badly. Only a Sea of Soul realm master warrior or a half-step king warrior would be able to kill him when he did not defend. Spirit body was spirit body, and it represented the toughness of the body. It did not have much to do with power, but it also had a little to do with power. Yi Chen could sense that his qi power had suddenly increased from 400,000 pounds to 450,000 pounds. It was an increase of 50,000 pounds, and one should not underestimate it. The higher one's qi power went, the harder it would be to increase it. Rank 4 spirit body is done. There is no longer any obstacle on the path to half-step king warrior. Putting on clean clothes, Yi Chen walked out of the room. There were a lot of restaurants on the Crystal Island, and they all had different styles. On the second floor of an ancient-looking restaurant, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng sat by the window. No other restaurant in the whole True Spirit continent would have this many powerful warriors eating and drinking. Murong Qingcheng glanced around and said emotionally. Yi Chen said, "Tomorrow is the first. There are obviously more people coming to the island. Yeah, I wonder what kind of missions there are." No one would complain about having too many Zhen Yuan crystals. Breaking through from peak level late sea of Soul Realm to half-step King Warrior would require a huge amount of Zhen Yuan. Half-step King Warriors would need 10 times more Zhen Yuan. Since the ancient times, the reason why there were not many warriors who could beat Life and Death Realm warriors was because of the huge difference in the amount of Zhen Yuan. Actually, a King Warrior who had just reached Life and Death Realm would not be that powerful. Tap. Tap. Footsteps were heard from the stairs. Soon, a man and a woman walked up. The man was very young, not more than 25 or 26 years old, not much older than Yi Chen. The woman was alluring and charming, with a pair of bright eyes that seemed to be able to release electricity. Just a casual glance from her would be able to make one's mind run wild and restless. When her gaze landed on Yi Chen, her eyes involuntarily brightened. Yi Chen was simply too outstanding in this restaurant, like a crane among chickens. Seriously speaking, Yi Chen was not the kind of peerless beauty that made people unable to stare at him, but he was still very handsome. Especially the temperament of his body, it was steady like water, with a hidden sharpness that was extremely lethal to women. However, when the woman's gaze landed on Murong Qingcheng, she couldn't help but snort. It had been a long time since Murong Qingcheng had worn a veil. Not to mention temperament, just her appearance alone could be compared to 1 in 100 million. She carried a peerless beauty amidst her holiness, as well as a dignified demeanor that was hard to find for ordinary women. Due to a woman's innate competitive mentality, the woman developed a subtle hostility toward Murong Qingcheng. "I didn't expect to see such a beauty in this desolate area." The young man who came up with the woman glanced at Murong Qingcheng a few more times. Comparing himself to his girlfriend, he found that she was at a disadvantage in every aspect. "I am Dongfang Hao. Can you two share a table?" The young man walked over gracefully and said with a faint smile. Yi Chen raised his teacup and said, "Forget it. We're not used to sharing a table." Dongfang Hao looked at Murong Qingcheng. Murong Qingcheng didn't look at him. "Brother Hao, let's sit here." The pretty girl saw that her boyfriend was a bit embarrassed, so she pointed at a table next to them and said, "All right." Dongfang Hao sat down immediately. After a while, the waiter served tea and fruits to the two of them. Taking a sip of the tea, Dongfang Hao smiled and said, "Are you two here for a mission as well?" "Not necessarily," Yi Chen answered. "Tomorrow is the first. As long as we finish the mission from the Blackwater Alliance, we will be able to exchange for endless Zhen Yuan crystals. For us, it is a great temptation. Right now, I am at half-step King Warrior level, so I need way too much Zhen Yuan to accumulate." As he spoke, Dongfang Hao intentionally brought up his own realm. Dongfang Hao was only 34 years old this year. Being able to reach half-step King Warrior level at that age was definitely a rare martial genius, and it was also something that he had always been proud of. But, you are not bad either. At this age, you are already at peak level late seas of Soul's realm. As long as you have enough luck, reaching half-step King Warrior level would not be a problem. If you don't mind, we can take on the mission together tomorrow. It would be safer with more people. Dongfang Hao did not say it out loud, but what he really wanted to say was that once there was danger, what could a peak level late seas of Soul's realm warrior do? It would not be a big deal if he died, but it would be a real pity if a beautiful lady died. You too, my name is Meng Xiaoling. Brother Hao is right. The more people, the safer it would be. With Brother Hao here, normal half-step king warriors would not be able to take more than a couple of attacks from him. Although Meng Xiaoling thought that Yi Chen was not bad, she was not the kind of person who was obsessed with him. Dongfang Hao was not only handsome, but also very powerful. Looking at the whole young generation, one might not be able to find another one like him. Compared to Dongfang Hao, Yi Chen was still a bit weaker. So, of course, she would speak up for him. I will think about your offer. Yi Chen stood up, preparing to go downstairs to pay the bill. Dongfang Hao stood up as well and said politely, I do not know your names yet. I hope you don't mind telling me. Yi Chen, this is my girlfriend, Murong Qingcheng. After that, Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng went downstairs together. Hee. Dongfang Hao smiled as he watched the two leave. Murong Qingcheng. She is indeed as beautiful as her name suggests. Why didn't I meet her earlier? Dongfang Hao thought to himself. What? Have you fallen for her? Meng Xiaoling saw Dongfang Hao staring at Murong Qingcheng's back until she left, so she said with jealousy. You and I are childhood sweethearts. You don't know me yet. I will never abandon you, and one day, I will become an emperor warrior as well. Dongfang Hao said proudly. You will become an emperor warrior for sure. Dongfang Hao's words made Meng Xiaoling's heart flutter. There was no woman who didn't want to see her man standing at the peak, leaving his name in the history books. Although she wanted to monopolize him, she understood that she couldn't keep a man like this under control. She didn't mind having a few more sisters. It won't be easy for you to get her. Meng Xiaoling continued. What, you're not jealous anymore? Dongfang Hao looked at her with a faint smile. Can I stop you? Meng Xiaoling felt pity for Yi Chen when she said this. She knew better than anyone that Dongfang Hao was the kind of person who wouldn't stop until he reached his goal. Chapter 757. The night passed by quickly, and it was already the next morning. There were thousands of people gathered in the center plaza of the Crystal Island. The first mission is very easy. I will take it. Me too. It seems to be almost the same. It doesn't matter which one I take. Everyone found that although the tasks on the task cards were different, the difficulty was very low. They really couldn't understand why the Blackwater Alliance issued such a simple task. Couldn't they complete it themselves? Was the Blackwater Alliance trying to attract people? Of course, it was just a thought. For them, the easier the mission, the better. After finishing it, they would be able to exchange for endless Zhenyuan crystals. There were a couple of rows of powerful warriors standing next to the board. One of the leaders stood out and sneered, Don't think that these missions are easy. Indeed, the missions themselves are easy, but don't you forget what kind of place this is. After being reminded by the leader, everyone realized that there was a legend about the devouring island here. If one was devoured, there would be no way out. If they ran into the devouring island, then the mission would be even more dangerous. Damn. The devouring island is only a legend. If I ran into it, I can only blame my bad luck. If I were afraid, I would not have come in the first place. Yeah. Who is afraid of who? The warriors who came here were all powerful and brave. Not many of them would be afraid. Which mission should we take? Yi Chen looked at the board and asked Murong Qingcheng. Murong Qingcheng thought about it and said, Let's take the second one. This mission is for us to find the ancient ruins on the map. Alright, let's take this one then. The reward is not low either. The missions on the board all had a reward, but of course, it was very low. The reward for the second mission was divided into 3 levels, 1,000 top-rank soulstones for astral-reaching realm warriors, 20,000 for Seas of Souls realm warriors, and 100,000 for half-step king warriors. If it were in other places, it would be unbelievable. Normal master-level warriors would have at least 50,000. However, people were not here for the reward anyway. It would be great if there was one, but it would be fine if there was none. The fact that the Alliance was willing to give out the reward would actually make people feel good about it. However, the reward would only be given out after the mission was completed. If the mission was not completed, then the reward would be cancelled. You guys are also taking the second mission? What a coincidence. Not far away, Dongfang Hao smiled when he overheard their conversation. In fact, he had not decided which mission to choose. He was waiting for Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng to decide. Otherwise, he would not have the chance to come into contact with them. What a coincidence. Yi Chen smiled faintly. Do you want another one? Murong Qingcheng frowned. There's no need. If we change, they will change as well. It's superfluous. I want to see what kind of tricks they are playing. Yi Chen was not a person who was afraid of trouble. Since trouble came to him, running away was not the best solution. We really are fated. It's a pity that the mission is about to start. Otherwise, I would definitely invite you for a drink, Dongfang Hao said. Haha, brother Hao rarely invites people to drink. Meng Xiaoling interrupted. At this time, the experts of the Blackwater Alliance near the task board separated and formed a line of 3 groups. The leader of the first group shouted, "Whoever takes the first task, come to me. Those who want to take the second mission, gather here with me. Do we need someone else to lead us?" Dongfang Hao frowned. He had only arrived a couple of days earlier than Yi Chen. There were 10 missions in total, so there would be hundreds of people taking the same mission. There were about 200 people in Yi Chen's group, and among them, there were more than 100 astral-reaching realm warriors. Listen up, I am the leader of your group. You will have to listen to everything I say. If anyone does not listen and tries to mess things up, I will ask him to leave the group immediately. Within 1 year, he will be disqualified from taking any missions. We, the Blackwater Alliance, do not welcome him. The leader of the second group was a man with grey hair. His cultivation was very high, and he was a half-step king warrior. The 2 beside him were also top master level warriors. It was quite a powerful group. Perhaps only a huge alliance like the Blackwater Alliance would be able to send out this many half-step king warriors and top master level warriors. Don't worry, I will do whatever you say. As long as you don't ask me to die, it will be fine. Right next to Yi Chen, the evil-looking man with a face full of stubble said with a loud voice. He was a half-step king warrior, and in this group, only he and Dongfang Hao were half-step king warriors. All right, I believe you will not do anything stupid. The man with grey hair nodded. Since that is the case, let's go. Time waits for no one. The man with grey hair did not say anything more as he jumped into the air with the other 2 top master level warriors, flying into the distance. Let's go. Yi Chen and the rest followed. Over 500,000 miles away from the Crystal Island, over 200 people were standing in the sky. The grey-haired man said, "The ancient ruins should be right under this ocean. Everyone, don't fall behind. Dangers are everywhere in the deep ocean. As long as we do not run into the Sea Demon King, it will be fine." The evil-looking man licked his lips. Dongfang Hao crossed his arms in front of his chest and said confidently, "Brother Yi, Lady Murong, we will form a group later. I will make sure you guys are safe." Murong Qingcheng said, "We will take care of ourselves. He. It is better to be safe than sorry." On the way, Dongfang Hao had been trying to find a chance to talk to Yi Chen. Actually, he was using Yi Chen as a bridge to talk to Murong Qingcheng. Unfortunately, there had not been any results. Although Murong Qingcheng looked noble and dignified, Dongfang Hao had run into a lot of trouble with her. Dongfang Hao could not wait for some huge danger to appear so that he could show off. Yi Chen looked on coldly. If it were not for Dongfang Hao's sense of propriety, he would not mind showing him how high the sky was and how deep the earth was. Let's go. The man with grey hair and the other 2 jumped into the ocean first. Shoo, shoo, shoo. The next second, 200 people jumped in one after another. Soon, there was not a single person left on the surface of the ocean. The reason why the deep ocean was called the deep ocean was not only because it was extremely dangerous, but also because there were all kinds of strange beasts lurking around. Most importantly, the depth of the deep ocean was much deeper than the shallow ocean. Here, it was normal for the water to reach 100,000 meters, or even 200,000 meters. Normal astral reaching realm warriors would not even be able to reach that deep. Therefore, the astral reaching realm warriors who came to the Crystal Island were at least at late astral reaching realm. When they had reached 100,000 meters deep, a lot of light spots suddenly appeared from all directions, and they started to gather towards them. The man with grey hair squeezed his eyes as his voice spread out with the help of his Jin Yuan. Everyone, be careful. It is a deep ocean electric eel. The deep ocean electric eel had a powerful thunder power inside its body. Once it reached a certain size, it would be very scary. It was very common in the deep ocean. Attack. Without any orders, everyone started to attack instinctively. Beams of sword chi, blade chi, and fist shadows attacked towards the group of electric eels. Crack. Crackle. After being attacked, the electric eel became even more furious. The thunder power spread out from its body, turning the area within 10 miles into a thunder zone. After battling for a while, the electric eel still could not win against Yi Chen and the rest, and was killed. Boom. All of a sudden, a massive electric eel waved its tail and charged over at an extremely fast speed. The thunder power on its body was blue with a hint of black, evaporating all the water around it and turning it into a vacuum. Electric Eel King. Everyone was shocked. This electric eel was the leader of the group, and it was obviously a half-step sea beast king. Not only was it huge in size, its beast power was also extremely powerful. Normal half-step king warriors would only be able to run if they ran into an electric eel king, since they would not be able to beat it at all. Among the half-step sea beast kings, the electric eel king could be counted as one of the tyrants. With its unique thunder power, no one would dare to underestimate it. The appearance of the electric eel king made everyone cautious. The man with grey hair did not say anything right then as he crossed his arms in front of his chest, looking at the evil-looking man and Dongfang Hao. Besides the man with grey hair, these two were the only half-step king warriors. Let me do it. Dongfang Hao glanced at Murong Qingcheng before walking out of the group. Hee. The evil-looking man was happy that someone else had taken care of it for him, so he let out an ugly laugh. Swoosh. The electric eel king sensed the powerful qi coming from Dongfang Hao's body. Its eyes, which were very small compared to its body, shrunk with a vicious light. If it were the white bone shark king, I might be a bit worried. But it is only an electric eel king, and it dares to block our way. Dongfang Hao waved his hand and a 4 to 5 feet long iron stick appeared in his hand. It was only a semi-extreme rank weapon, but it looked extremely heavy, as if it was made of a mountain. Swoosh, 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 boom, pap. The electric eel king was enraged by Dongfang Hao. A sky full of thunder power poured out of its body, attacking toward Dongfang Hao who was not far away. Facing this kind of scene, a lot of people's faces turned pale. They thought that under this endless thunder power, they would not even be able to last one breath. Die. Facing the sky full of thunder, Dongfang Hao's body flashed, flying toward the Eel King's back. Along the way, the incoming thunder power was shattered by the iron stick in his hand before it could even get close to his body. Dongfang Hao's speed was extremely fast, but it also seemed to be fake at the same time. The electric Eel King could not lock onto him at all, so it could only roll its body to increase the range of the thunder attack. Shoo! In the boiling ocean water, a purple light flashed, and Dongfang Hao appeared out of nowhere. Earth-shattering art. Holding the iron stick, Dongfang Hao smashed it onto the Eel King's head. Woo! The yellow light expanded, covering the electric Eel King. The next moment, the electric Eel King's body was torn to pieces. There was no blood coming out of the wounds. It was completely petrified. It was like a broken statue of the electric Eel King. Interesting. Very powerful. The evil-looking man was a bit surprised. Among this group of people, he should be the most powerful one. The man with grey hair thought to himself. Meng Xiaoling smiled at Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng. This kind of Eel King. Brother Hao has killed a couple of them already. Even that extremely cruel white bone shark king might not be his opponent. With him here, we will be very safe. There is no need to worry about anything else. His power is indeed not bad. Yi Chen nodded slightly. Swoosh. Meng Xiaoling almost laughed out loud. She was only at peak level late sea of Soul's realm, and she was judging her boyfriend's power as only not bad. Chapter 758. With the death of the Eel King, the rest of the eels seemed to have lost their backbone as they panicked and disappeared without a trace. It has been a long time since I last exercised. Too bad that it is still too short. Putting away his iron stick, Dongfang Hao looked like he was not done yet. This Dongfang Hao is indeed powerful. I have seen a lot of demi-king warriors, but none of them were this powerful. That was an eel king, and it was shattered into pieces with one attack. There are different levels of demi-king warriors as well. This Dongfang Hao should be a top demi-king warrior, right? Seeing that Dongfang Hao had killed the eel king with one stick, everyone started to discuss. A lot of beautiful girls looked over at him. Alright, let's keep going. The man with grey hair looked at Dongfang Hao a couple more times and said with a loud voice. Under the lead of the man with grey hair, the team continued to dive deeper. However, compared to before, the team was no longer lifeless. There were a lot of people chatting, and most of the topics were about Dongfang Hao. Being young and powerful, he had become the center of attention without a doubt. Inside the team, Dongfang Hao said to Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng, "This eel king is not that powerful. It is probably not more than 3,000 years old. Last time, I ran into a 5,000 years old eel king, and it took me a lot of effort to beat it. The lifespan of the beasts was usually longer than humans. Some of the turtle-type beasts could even live for tens of thousands of years or even hundreds of thousands of years. Humans would not be able to compete with them even if they tried. However, humans had their own advantages. Although their lifespan was short, and normal people could only live for 100 years at most, the world was fair. Humans had an extremely powerful comprehensive ability, which allowed them to learn the profound in a short amount of time. On the other hand, the beasts were a lot more stupid. Hundreds of years might not even be comparable to a few years of humans. Therefore, for the beasts, shapeshifting was very important. As long as they could shapeshift into a human, their comprehensive ability would start to approach that of humans. Yi Chen smiled lightly but did not say anything. Neither of them said anything, which made Dongfang Hao a bit unhappy. His gaze moved over to Murong Qingcheng. "Miss Murong, the qi coming out of your body does not seem to be Jinyuan. I have been wondering about it for a long time. I wonder if you could tell me." Murong Qingcheng said, "No comment. What's there to hide? We're friends, after all." Meng Xiaoling helped Dongfang Hao. Dongfang Hao looked at Murong Qingcheng with a smile, waiting for her answer. Yi Chen's expression turned cold. "You too. It's best not to ask about things you shouldn't ask. You." Dongfang Hao thought that his temperament was way better than normal people, but Yi Chen's attitude had pissed him off a lot. It was obvious that the latter did not take him seriously at all. If it were not for Murong Qingcheng, he would have lost it already. A mere peak-level late sea of Soul's realm warrior dared to talk to him like this. You really overestimate yourself. Meng Xiaoling also couldn't stand Yi Chen's attitude and whispered, "It seems like we don't have anything in common to talk about. There's no need for us to get together." Murong Qingcheng frowned and pulled away from the two of them. Right then, Yi Chen also said, "You too, if there is nothing important in the future, you better not disturb us. I am not someone with a good temper." As he spoke, he leaned toward Murong Qingcheng. Dongfang Hao's expression was very bad as it could get. His eyes were extremely dark. "I am so pissed. These two guys really don't know what's good for them." Meng Xiaoling gritted her teeth. "They will regret it one day," Dongfang Hao said with a low voice. Everyone's diving speed was very fast. Soon, they had reached a depth of 180,000 meters. The water pressure here was unimaginable. It could definitely squeeze a huge piece of steel into a steel ball. Normal astral reaching realm warriors would be reduced to a meatball. "We should be reaching the ruins soon. Everyone, be careful," the man with grey hair said from the front. "Something is coming. It is the deep-sea piranhas." From far away, Yi Chen could already sense that there were huge amounts of deep-ocean piranhas approaching. The piranhas here were very small, only the length of a middle finger. But, for these kinds of vicious creatures that lived in groups, the smaller they were, the more destructive they would be. When tens of thousands of piranhas rushed over, it would definitely be a catastrophic disaster. Soon, the others had also sensed the arrival of the deep-sea piranhas. They were all breathing heavily, looking very nervous. Without me, how are you going to block them out? Dongfang Hao had seen how horrifying the deep-sea piranhas were. This kind of piranhas did not have high individual battling power, and a clasping Yuan realm warrior would be able to handle them. But, they had two special features. One was their extremely hard body, and the other was their extremely sharp teeth. Even Sea of Souls realm warriors would not be able to kill them with one attack. Their teeth were sharp enough to pierce through Sea of Souls realm warriors' protective Yuan layer. Once the deep-sea piranhas gathered into a large group, it would be quite a threat to even half-step king warriors. This is so troublesome. The man with grey hair reached his soul power into his storage ring, looking for something. The deep-sea piranhas were extremely fast, and within a couple of blinks of an eye, they had already arrived. Meanwhile, the man with grey hair threw out a green pellet, and beams of green chi spread out. Unfortunately, it did not spread out that fast, far slower than the attacking speed of the piranhas. All of a sudden, the number of astral-reaching realm warriors that had died had reached 2 digits. Facing the extremely cruel creatures like the deep-sea piranhas, the protective Yuan layer of the astral-reaching realm warriors would be as fragile as tofu. Yi Chen's side was also being attacked by a huge amount of piranhas. Boom! 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 Murong Qingqing's protective demon power was even more powerful than a half-step king warrior's protective Yuan layer. The piranhas would not be able to break through it within a short period of time, and were bounced back one after another. Seeing this, Dongfang Hao was a bit surprised. He had planned to go up and help out, letting them know who would be able to save her. But, it did not really matter. If Murong Qingqing could survive, Yi Chen might not be able to. Even if he could survive, he would be embarrassed and become a laughingstock. Unfortunately, he had underestimated the speed of Yi Chen's sword. Any of the deep-sea piranhas that got close to Yi Chen were cut in half. All of a sudden, there were at least hundreds of deep-sea piranhas that got close. But, in the next second, hundreds of them had been cut in half. It was almost impossible to see how Yi Chen had attacked. Ahem! Such a fast sword speed. Dongfang Hao had to admit that he had underestimated Yi Chen. Brother Hao, he does not seem to be easy to mess with. Meng Xiaoling was even more shocked than Dongfang Hao. She had not seen anyone's sword speed that was as fast as Yi Chen's. It was not hard to imagine how shocked she was. Taking a deep breath, Dongfang Hao said, "Fast sword speed is nothing. I am a half-step king warrior, and he is only at peak level late seas of Soul's realm. He would not be my opponent. No matter how fast his sword speed is, would he be able to break through my defense? I would only need one attack to tear him into pieces." The green aura emitted by the green pill finally pervaded the air. When the deep-sea piranhas smelled this aura, they immediately rushed over like moths to a flame. The deep-sea piranhas in the lead were the fastest and swallowed the green pill in one gulp. Something horrifying happened. The other piranhas saw the leading piranha swallow the pellet, and their eyes turned red. They dismembered the other piranhas and started to fight for the bodies. After swallowing the bodies, even more piranhas could not stand it anymore and started to eat their own kind. Just like that, the number of piranhas started to decrease. Eventually, there was only one piranha left with a big belly. It swam back and forth before it disappeared completely. What kind of pellet is this? It is so scary. Everyone looked at each other. The man with grey hair said with satisfaction, "This is the piranha killer that our Blackwater Alliance has developed. Don't think that it is just a small pellet. The materials used to make it would be millions of top-rank spirit stones. It could kill millions of piranhas. Right now, we have to use it because we have no other choice." The materials used to make the piranha killer pellet were extremely rare, and each of them would be priceless. Then, a master alchemist would extract the essence of the pellet, and it would take 81 days to make. Moreover, The failure rate was very high as 50%. I wonder if your alliance would sell this kind of piranha killer pellet? Someone asked. As long as you can afford the top-rank spirit stones, we can negotiate. I really can't afford it. One piranha killer fish was worth millions of top-rank spirit stones. Only a few Sea of Souls realm warriors would be able to afford it. Even a half-step king warrior would only have that much wealth, and it would be impossible for them to buy one. Although there were piranha fish killers, everyone had still suffered heavy casualties. Roughly estimating, at least 40 to 50 astral-reaching realm warriors had been killed, and more than 10 Sea of Souls realm warriors had been killed. Losing a quarter of their force all of a sudden had made the grey-haired man look very bad. Yi Chen, don't you think it is strange? This Blackwater Alliance warrior seems to care a lot about the casualties. Normally, there is no need for him to care. Murong Qingcheng could tell that something was not right. It is a bit strange indeed. And it is not just this. For example, the missions that the Blackwater Alliance has given out, and the Jin Yuan Crystal Exchange, there are a lot of them. Yi Chen had already sensed that something was not right about the Crystal Island, but there was no point in just guessing. It seems like we can only take it one step at a time. Murong Qingcheng nodded. Don't worry. As long as we do not run into life and death realm warriors, no matter how many enemies we run into, we will still be able to escape. This was also the reason why Yi Chen did not say anything. We are here. After diving down for a few thousand meters, the man with grey hair let out a breath and said happily. In front of everyone was a massive entrance at the bottom of the ocean. It was surrounded by seaweed, and one would not be able to see it without looking carefully. Let's go in. The man with grey hair led the way and jumped in. Let's go. Some of the people frowned a little before following him in. Hee. The evil-looking man seemed to have sensed something wrong as well, so he slowed down on purpose and ran behind the group. Be careful. Yi Chen held Murong Qingcheng's hand as the two disappeared into the pitch-black entrance at the bottom of the ocean. The entrance was very deep, as if it was a huge crack at the bottom of the ocean. No one knew where it led to. If it were not for the fact that there were a lot of people, normal people would not dare to come in, and would have left a long time ago. After about 10 minutes, everyone's eyes brightened. They had finally passed through the entrance and arrived at the inside of the ocean. Chapter 759. This place is a bit weird. Yi Chen looked around and said. Weird? I can't tell. This is indeed the entrance to an ancient ruin. Murong Qingcheng shook her head. She really couldn't tell anything. Don't you feel that this place doesn't have the feeling of being sealed for a long time? It seems like people come here often and destroy the ancient qi here. Hearing Yi Chen's words, Murong Qingcheng looked pensive. She was not as meticulous as Yi Chen, but she was not stupid either. Once there is any movement, we will leave immediately. Yi Chen said with a serious tone. Yeah. Murong Qingcheng nodded and carefully walked beside Yi Chen. Everyone, follow behind me. Don't break the formation. The grey-haired man's voice was heard from the front. Aren't we looking for the ancient ruin? Now that we have found it, why are we not going back? Someone mumbled. The top master-level warrior next to the grey-haired man said coldly, if you don't want to, you can go back now. I won't stop you. Just saying. The person who was talking shut his mouth immediately. The ancient ruin was huge. First, there was a stone hall, and then a straight tunnel. Oil lamps were lit on both sides of the tunnel, as if they were paving the way for the group. After 15 minutes, the group finally passed through the tunnel and arrived at a wide flat ground. In front of the flat ground was a huge stone door, and in the center of the flat ground was a 6-point star. Inside the 6-point star, there were many complicated runes. These runes were not for decoration, they were filled with traces of energy aura, and from time to time, streams of light would flash through. Boom! All of a sudden, a gate fell down from the tunnel behind the group, locking them inside. What is going on? What happened? Damn it! We are locked inside. The situation happened too suddenly. Many people were still in a state of confusion, but more people were panicking. They were 180,000 meters under the sea. No one wanted to be trapped here and unable to get out, especially when they were fine just now. Damn it. Isn't it just a gate? What is there to be surprised about? Watch me break it. A master-level Sea of Souls realm walked out. He raised his right hand and tightened his fist. All of a sudden, a red flame wrapped around his fist before he smashed it heavily onto the gate. Pa! The gate did not move at all. Not even a single stone chip splashed out. What? This Sea of Souls realm master-level warrior did not believe it, so he attacked the gate crazily. His fiery red fist shadows were like illusions, landing on the center of the gate. Everyone, attack together. Seeing that they couldn't break the gate, someone called for everyone to attack together. 1, 2, 3, attack. Boom, boom, boom. Over 100 attacks landed on the gate, and the gate finally shook a little, causing some dust to fall off. Unfortunately, it was still far from breaking the gate. Get out of my way. The fierce-looking man parted the crowd and walked out. Can you do it alone? Some people were puzzled. Let him do it. Although we have a lot of attacks, many of our unique martial arts have been scattered by other Jin Yuan streams, so we can't display our full power. I see. I had forgotten about it. Understanding the crux of the matter, everyone's gazes converged on the fiendish man. Among them, there were only 3 half-step kings, and the fiendish man was one of them. Although they didn't know the fiendish man's strength, it shouldn't be too bad. A half-step king was a half-step king after all. Standing in front of the gate with rapt attention, the fierce-looking man took a deep breath. As he inhaled, the surrounding space began to distort slightly. Clouds of light black air gushed out, and his aura rose steadily, reaching a terrifying level. Break! The man roared as he threw out a palm blade attack toward the gate. Boom! The frequency of the gate shaking was obviously much higher than before. Dust was blown out from the corner, blocking everyone's sight. So sturdy. The man's expression changed. Let's join hands. Dongfang Hao could not stand it anymore, so he stood next to the man. If it could be broken, we would not have been lured here. Yi Chen shook his head as he glanced over at the man with grey hair and the other 2. The man with grey hair was very sensitive to gazes, so he turned his head to look for the source of the gaze. However, Yi Chen had already looked away. Mad wave cut. Cracking ground attack. The man and Dongfang Hao performed their top martial arts, attacking the gate together. Dong. The gate shook violently, and cracks started to appear on it. It is about to break. Everyone was overjoyed. Let's do it again. Dongfang Hao said to the man. All right. The man was in a good mood. As long as he could break this gate, he would be able to get out. Huh. The man with grey hair sneered secretly, seeming to be very disdainful of everyone thinking that they could break the gate. How is this possible? Under everyone's incredulous gazes, the fiendish man and Dongfang Hao's combined attacks didn't even have the qualifications to make the gate shake. It turned out that the gate was emitting a layer of dark light that bounced off the attacks and instantly acted on Dongfang Hao and the fiendish man. Pooh. Pooh. Caught off guard, Dongfang Hao and the man both puked out a mouthful of blood and were blown backward. Their feet rubbed against the ground for a long time before stopping. How can this be broken? Dongfang Hao's expression was ugly. Exhaling, Yi Chen said, Don't waste your energy, you two. Since we've been lured here, there's no way we can escape. What do you mean? Dongfang Hao stared at Yi Chen with a sharp gaze. Yi Chen said, Do you really think that we're trapped here because of the relic's mechanism and not someone else's doing? You're saying that someone brought us here on purpose? The man came to a realization. We'll have to ask him. Yi Chen pointed at the grey-haired man. Insolence. You're courting death. The 2 men beside the grey-haired man rebuked Yi Chen. Yi Chen sneered. Since you've brought us here, you've succeeded. Why don't you take off your mask? Ha ha. The grey-haired man guffawed, his laughter filled with pride and admiration. I didn't expect you to be so meticulous. How did you figure it out? The grey-haired man asked. I only suspected at first, but as soon as we entered the relic, I began to suspect you. Oh, why didn't you run then? Everyone is curious. As the saying goes, Curiosity killed the cat. Plus, I thought running would have been useless. You guys must have had a backup plan. You're right. The moment you stepped into the relic, you couldn't get out. Bringing you here was the second step. I have to admire you. You were the only one who noticed the anomaly among so many people. The others kept it to themselves. Even if they had suspicions, they wouldn't have targeted me. So, strength isn't everything. Your ability to survive is stronger than everyone else's. The grey-haired man admired Yi Chen. Of course, he didn't know Yi Chen's strength yet, thinking that Yi Chen was merely meticulous. No need to admire me. In fact, I should admire your Blackwater alliance. With such a grand plan, it's obvious that you want to capture everyone in one fell swoop. If I'm not wrong, your plan has something to do with Devouring Island. Am I right? Yi Chen smiled. Hiss. Not only the grey-haired man, even the two people next to him sucked in a breath of cold air. With just a few clues, Yi Chen was able to figure out their plan. This could not be described as meticulous, it was simply frightening. Is what he said true? The ferocious-looking man's face was filled with killing intent. Ridiculous. You're still asking me now. The grey-haired man sneered. You're courting death. I'll tear you apart. The ferocious-looking man wasn't a good person. He had always been the one making fun of others. Since when did he become the one being made fun of? This made him feel very wronged. Boom. His right hand formed a blade, and a light black saw appeared on the edge of his palm. The ferocious-looking man slashed at the grey-haired man and the two top master-level masters. Boom. That attack was blocked out by a layer of blue membrane. The ground under the grey-haired man and the other two moved automatically, bringing them into the wall. The gap in the wall was a blue membrane. It seemed like even 10 half-step king warriors wouldn't be able to break it open. The grey-haired man and the other two could see Yi Chen and the rest through the blue membrane, and Yi Chen and the rest could see them as well. You think that I'll give you the chance to attack me? The grey-haired man said with a mocking expression. Fuck your ancestors. The fierce-looking man repeatedly attacked the blue membrane, causing it to ripple like water. Unfortunately, the defensive power of the blue membrane was far beyond imagination. No matter how much strength the fierce-looking man exerted, he couldn't shake it in the slightest. It was all in vain. Everyone, let's go. After everyone knew that the grey-haired man and the Blackwater Alliance were the masterminds, they were all furious. All of them wanted to eat the three alive. Boom, 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 boom. The tide-like energy flooded the thin blue membrane like a vast ocean. Dongfang Hao and Meng Xiaoling had also joined in the attack. Only Yi Chen and Murong Qingcheng stood aside and did not do anything, watching coldly. After a long while, the qi disappeared, and the blue membrane was not damaged at all. It's useless. Since you're here, don't waste your time. Yi Chen said calmly. Since you already knew, why didn't you tell us? I, Tu the Third, will teach you how to behave. I will also keep your girlfriend safe for you. The ferocious-looking man, Tu Laosan, had a belly full of anger. Since he could not do anything to the grey-haired man, he shifted his attention to Yi Chen. Right then and there, he was ready to kill Yi Chen and have some fun before the disaster came. As he spoke, an evil smile appeared on his face, as if Murong Qingcheng was already his, and there would be no accidents. Seeking death. A murderous look flashed across Dongfang Hao's eyes, but he quickly hid it. He was happy that Tu the Third would kill Yi Chen. After Yi Chen was killed, he would be able to openly save Murong Qingcheng, killing two birds with one stone. It seems like you want to die. Yi Chen's expression turned cold. The murderous look on his face was a few times more intense than Tu the Third's. Many people around him hurriedly took a few steps back, shocked by Yi Chen's murderous look. Chapter 760. This young man, his killing intent is so thick. Why is it so much thicker than a half-step king warrior? Yeah. It is indeed confusing. What is the use of thick killing intent? It is still power that matters. I do not think he will win. I am afraid that he will be killed within 1 or 2 attacks. Too bad for a beauty. Although everyone was shocked by Yi Chen's killing intent, they did not think that Yi Chen would be able to escape from Tu Laosan's attack. The gap between the two was just too huge. Do I want to die? Tu Laosan sneered. All right, I will not kill you right away. I will let you taste the feeling of being dead. Are you done? Now, you can die slowly, very slowly. Yi Chen suddenly took out his Thunder Disaster Sword and threw out a sword attack. Shoo! Blood spilled everywhere as Tu Laosan's entire right arm was chopped off. Because it was so sudden, the blood shot out 8 meters away like a fountain. What? Everyone was shocked. This result was completely different from what they had expected. Tu Laosan was a half-step king warrior after all, but his arm had been chopped off by Yi Chen. Impossible! Tu Laosan roared, his face pale. It was hard to tell if it was because of the pain, shock, or both. Nothing is impossible. Yi Chen threw out another sword attack. It was so fast that Tu Laosan did not even have the time to react before his left arm was chopped off. Spare my life. I promise I will never mess with you again. Tu Laosan was scared. Although everyone had fallen into the trap set by the Blackwater Alliance, at least there was still a chance of survival. You are too stupid. Yi Chen did not show any mercy as he lifted up his Thunder Disaster Sword. I will fuck your whole family. Everyone, let's kill him together. Tu Laosan's eyes were filled with despair as he yelled crazily. Unfortunately, not many people listened to him. Fighting against Yi Chen right now would just be suicide. Shaking his head, Yi Chen held the Thunder Disaster Sword and threw out a Thunder Devour. Tu Laosan, who had lost both his arms, was unable to fight back and was directly swallowed by the Black Thunder Ball. The Thunder Ball twisted and expanded, producing a series of intense explosions. At the center of the explosions, Tu Laosan's 7 orifices were discharging electricity. His skin was charred, cracked, and carbonized at a visible speed. Bang! Tu Laosan fell to the ground and his body was smashed into pieces like charcoal. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, no one would believe that this was a human corpse. Dongfang Hao looked at Tu Laosan, who had been smashed into pieces, then looked at Yi Chen. His face looked very bad. All the way here, he had thought that Yi Chen was just a peak-level late seas of Soul's Realm warrior. Even if he could fight beyond his realm, he would only be a normal half-step king warrior, which would be a huge gap between them. However, he had not expected that Yi Chen's battling power would be a couple of times more powerful than he had imagined. Even someone as powerful as Tu Laosan could not last 3 sword attacks, although it was partly due to his carelessness. So he's actually this powerful. Meng Xiaoling murmured unconsciously. Inside the blue film on the wall, the man with grey hair said, I did not expect that you would be the most powerful warrior in this team. What is the use of being powerful? I was still tricked by your Blackwater Alliance. Yi Chen put his sword back into its scabbard and said lightly, hee hee. The man with grey hair laughed, you don't seem to be nervous at all. If being nervous is useful right now, I would not mind being nervous for a bit. As he spoke, Yi Chen looked around. Eventually, his eyes landed on the hexagram under his feet. It had flashed for a second, and if one did not look carefully, they would not have noticed it at all. The man with grey hair saw that Yi Chen had noticed it, so he said, it is useless. In a while, you will all be devoured by the devouring island, and this place is one of the connecting points. Indeed. After the man with grey hair said that, everyone realized that the Blackwater Alliance was indeed connected to the devouring island. As for what the connection was, they did not know, and they did not want to know at the moment. Right then, a lot of people started to despair. They wished that they could go back in time and never go to the Crystal Island again. Woo! The hexagram emitted a powerful energy ripple. This energy ripple was even more vast than the Zhun Yuan released by dozens of half-step kings. As the hexagram was completely activated, the stone door in front of everyone opened with a loud rumble. Inside was an energy whirlpool that crazily revolved, devouring everything in the stone room. No. Without any time to react, at least half of the people were sucked in by the energy whirlpool. It was like a black hole, and no one knew what was on the other side. The sucking power of the energy whirlpool was way too powerful. Even though Yi Chen and the rest tried their best, they would only be sucked in a little bit later. Waiting until the whirlpool disappeared, the stone door closed. The blue layer on the wall disappeared on its own, and the man with grey hair and the other two walked out. Another batch. It is so easy. The top master level warrior on the left of the man with grey hair laughed. You think it is easy? We, the Blackwater Alliance, are under a lot of pressure. Some of the life and death realm warriors are getting more and more greedy. If we do not give them enough Jin Yuan crystals, these things will be exposed. By then, we will be in trouble as well. The man with grey hair said. No matter how big their appetite is, they should have a bottom line, right? After all, our Blackwater Alliance has a lot of life and death realm warriors as well. Another top master level warrior said. What do you know? The world of king warriors is not that easy to understand. That's true. Let's go. Let's go back and hand in the mission. This was a strange and dazzling world. As far as the eye could see, there was a rainbow-colored chaotic sky, pitch-black seawater, and 6 small islands that formed a circle. There was nothing else. Where is this? In the sky, Yi Chen and the rest looked confused. Who cares where we are? As long as we are not dead, it is good. After a moment of confusion, everyone looked extremely happy. They thought that they were going to die for sure, but they did not expect to survive. This was more important than anything else. Don't be so happy yet. Yi Chen did not think that the Blackwater Alliance would be so kind. He had a feeling that not dying would be even scarier than dying. At least if they died, everything would be over. If they did not die, who knew what would be waiting for them? Just when everyone was preparing to go to the island, the surreal space in front of them vibrated. A transparent human figure appeared, with a pair of transparent wings on his back. Hello, this is the Devouring Island. You can call me the Holy Spirit. The transparent human figure said to everyone. Holy Spirit. What does that mean? You do not need to know this. Next, I will tell you the rules of the Devouring Island. The rule is to provide Jin Yuan crystals. Astral Reaching Realm Warriors will have to provide 10 Jin Yuan crystals per month, Sea of Souls Realm Warriors will have to provide 50 Jin Yuan crystals per month, and Half-Step King Warriors will have to provide 100 Jin Yuan crystals per month. Hey, where do we get the Jin Yuan crystals? Someone asked. The transparent human figure said without any emotion, on the Devouring Island, you can make your own Jin Yuan crystals. You can try it now. Make your own Jin Yuan crystals. Most of the people did not believe it. Normally, only a small number of Half-Step King Warriors could make Jin Yuan crystals. They could not do it at all. But, out of curiosity, everyone started to try it out. We can really make Jin Yuan crystals. Not long after, someone cried out in alarm. Within a short period of time, everyone realized that as long as they tried to compress their Jin Yuan, it would start to crystallize. Some of the different elements inside would be removed automatically, turning it extremely pure. Of course, because of the short period of time, the Jin Yuan crystals that they made would be very unstable. Once they lost control, they would shatter immediately. We can really make Jin Yuan crystals. Could it be that the Blackwater Alliance got their Jin Yuan crystals from here? Bastard. The Blackwater Alliance tricked us to come here. They must be making us work for them. How could there be such a good thing in the world? Thinking that the Holy Spirit was not that scary, a Sea of Souls Realm Master level warrior said, we can make Jin Yuan crystals. Why should we give them to you? This is the rule of the Devouring Island. The Holy Spirit answered, bullshit rule. Let me ask you, how do we get out? The Holy Spirit said, getting out is very easy. Astral Reaching Realm Warriors, hand over 10,000 Jin Yuan crystals, Sea of Souls Realm Warriors, 50,000, and Half-Step King Warriors, 100,000. Astral Reaching Realm Warriors, hand over 10,000 Jin Yuan crystals. May I ask, how many Jin Yuan crystals can an Astral Reaching Realm Warrior make in a month? 15. 15. Are you messing with us? It has been 60 to 70 years since we handed over 10,000. This is the rule here, bullshit rule. Let me ask you, how do we get out? A lot of people had a vicious look on their faces. Hand over all the Jin Yuan crystals, and you will be able to get out. The Holy Spirit's tone did not change at all. Go die. 3 of them attacked the Holy Spirit together. Pooh. 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 The Holy Spirit flapped its wings, and the 3 of them puked out blood. On the devouring island, even life and death realm warriors would not be my opponent. Do not waste your energy. Also, you have to remember, if you are lazy and do not hand over all the Jin Yuan crystals after 1 month, you will be punished by me. Besides that, you are not allowed to kill anyone here. The mission of the killer will fall on you. In other words, you can get out after handing over 10,000 Jin Yuan crystals, but if you kill someone with the same cultivation as you will have to hand over 20,000. Hearing the Holy Spirit, Yi Chen frowned. Something is wrong. Yi Chen, what is wrong? Murong Qing Cheng asked. Yi Chen said, since we can get out after handing over the Jin Yuan crystals, then the thing about the devouring island would be exposed for sure. But, judging from the situation outside, the devouring island is still a legend. You mean, once we get in, we can't get out? Very likely. That Holy Spirit is lying to us. I don't know about that. We will see. The devouring island was too strange, and even Yi Chen had no clue about it. Only by observing for a while would he be able to figure it out. Knowing that the Holy Spirit was unbeatable, everyone had a bitter look on their faces. According to the Holy Spirit, the devouring island was like a prison where they had to work. If they did not work, then they would be punished. Plus, with so many Jin Yuan crystals, how long would it take to hand them over? You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.